Hokage Starting from the Instant Full Level, Chapter 261 to 280. Chapter 261, Can't Afford to Gamble. It can be said that in the face of Uchiha Ryu, you can't afford to gamble, neither can Sand Ninja Village, the 5 major ninja villages, or even the entire ninja world. The awe-inspiring voice has an unmistakable taste. After dropping those words, Yi King didn't take a second look at Luo Sha with a distorted expression, and suddenly reincarnated and left in front of everyone's eyes. Let's go. Seeing Yi King's back that waved and left unrestrainedly, the dried persimmon ghost shark smiled and put the shark muscle in his hand back on his back, saying, I thought that this time I could make a riot this time. I think too much. However, little girl, I agree with your last remark that you can't afford to gamble. I just gambled once and then fell into the pit. Hey, don't go too fast, wait for me. Haiden also chased after the scarlet scythe, shouting and shouting. The rest of Deidara, Loquat Shazang and others also quickly turned around and left. For these lawless rebels, since they can't fight this battle, there is no benefit to keeping them. For a time, on the huge battlefield, only the red sand scorpion with the puppet was left. When he put the scroll back on his waist and put on his robe, he glanced at Luo Sha lightly and said, Luo Sha, you are still with us. As before, even a woman can't compare. Goodbye, I hope you don't do stupid things when we meet next time. Abandoning these words, the scorpion walked slowly out of existence without stopping. Sister. Azo landed on Chio's side and hurriedly called out. However, he soon saw Chio shaking his head. Forget it, let him go. Seeing him like this now means finding a group of like-minded people. I hope there will be a chance to meet again next time. I'm also tired, and I don't care about other things. Sister, wait for me. Seeing that Chio was directly acting as the hand-slinging shopkeeper, Izang quickly chased after him. Goodness, goodness. After Fen Fu also chanted the Buddha's name, he also walked away. Seeing the departure of the 3 major forces, Luo Sha's expression became distorted, and there was a hint of gloom. Unfortunately, before he could react, the ninja that was forcibly summoned collapsed like a wave. Even his nominal fiancé had already slipped away. For a time, in such a huge situation, only Maki and other high-level executives were left. Looking at Luo Sha who was in the cold scene for a moment, Maki couldn't help but put on a hard smile and said, Lord Fengying, the 5 Shadows Conference is about to be held. If we don't start, I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up. Can't keep up with Luo Sha's eyes, he couldn't help twitching, and looked back at Maki with a gloomy expression. This scene made Maggie's heart twitch, and a hint of bitterness emerged. Soon, a hysterical roar sounded like a roar from Luo Sha. It felt like lying down at all. Looking at those high-level executives who were holding back laughter, there were 10 million grass mud horses rushing through Maki's heart. If it wasn't in front of Luo Sha, I am afraid I would point to the sky and scold God as a thief. Why am I the only one hurt? With Yi King's departure, the disturbance in Sand Ninja Village gradually subsided. The huge ninja world, many eyes, at this moment, invariably cast on the Konoha Ninja Village. The face of the 3 generations of Hokage Sarutobi Hibiki, the holding of the 5 Shadows Conference, which was restarted in person, undoubtedly affected the nerves of the entire ninja world. 3 days is just a blink of an eye. The morning sun is scattered like broken gold. Falls in Konoha Ninja Village. On the Hokage's building, the 3 generations of Hokage stood with their hands behind their backs, watching the tightly closed door in the distance slowly being pushed open, and sighed deeply. Whoosh whoosh. One after another, the sound of breaking through the air sounded, and the figure that appeared like a ghost fell behind the 3 generations of Hokage. Looking at the familiar faces, the 3 generations of Hokage sighed quietly. Kenji Ujiya and Matai still come back. Teacher, according to the information sent back, they are also on their way back, but in the information, Kosuke repeatedly mentioned that never declare war with Uchiha Ryu. Zilai was also the first to speak. who has always liked freedom by nature, took pleasure in taking materials everywhere. Because of the rise of Uchiha Ryu, it seems to be tied together by the boat of Konoha Shinobi again. Every time he received information about Long Yu, his heart would be shaken. The short half-year, almost all of those earth-shattering things were done once by Long Yu. This high-frequency event made Jiraiya cautious, and it felt difficult to accept. In the end, in order to cope with this overwhelming thing, to mention that it is based on material, there is no time to even write about the intimate paradise. However, the only thing that made Jiraiya feel fortunate was that Tsunade, who had originally left the village and thought he would never see each other again, also reopened the village. The pain of the past was gradually buried in the bottom of my heart under the storm caused by Long Yu. Never declare war on Uchiha Ryu. Third Hokage raised his brows, the cigarette rod clenched tightly in his hand, tapped lightly on the guardrail several times, looked up at the sky, sighed faintly, and said, "As far as this is concerned, let's do our best. Fuyu, I heard that Zishui seems to have some way to prevent the outbreak of a full-scale war as much as possible." These words fell, the eyes of everyone in the field turned and locked on Uchiha Fugaku. Facing his nephew who had ordinary aptitude and no sense of existence, Uchiha Fuyu also felt a lot in his heart. After being silent for a while, he nodded in agreement. That's right, Zishui is proficient in illusion, and the kaleidoscope that he opened is the same. No exception. If you use this as a medium to display powerful hypnotic eyes, it may be able to change Long Yu's thoughts. Hypnotic eye. With the wrinkled cheeks of the 3 generations of Hokage, he moved a little and said, "The ability of your Uchiha clan is still unimaginable as always. No matter what. What is the result, tell Zishui, his kindness, our Konoha Shinobi village will take it to heart." As a ninjutsu professor in the ninja world, Sarutobi Hizen, of course, is aware of the dangers of the kaleidoscope. Maybe he doesn't know much about the eternal kaleidoscope, but he still knows a little about the harm caused by the use of the kaleidoscope. In the eyes of Sarutobi Hizen, the power of the kaleidoscope shaker is very powerful, but the greater the power obtained, the stronger the backlash will be. If the hypnotic eye is displayed in front of other people, the load may be small. But this time, the person Uchiha Shisui is going to meet is Uchiha Ryu. In the history of the Uchiha clan, if he really wants to achieve the desired effect, the price he has to pay is completely unimaginable. 3 generations of Hokage-sama, you are serious? Uchiha Fuyu hurriedly replied. After all, Long Yu is a member of our Uchiha family. It is also an honor for our family to be able to contribute this time. Chapter 262, Uchiha's Face. However, Long Yu has been able to come this far, and it has been hidden for more than 10 years. His mind must be very careful, so we only have one chance. If we let him see through it, I am afraid it will have the opposite effect. In the face of Uchiha Fugaku's concerns, the people present couldn't help but nodded in agreement. 3 generations of Hokage were also silent, and subconsciously looked at Minato, who had been silent, and said, "Minato, you and Long Yu have a good relationship. If you distract him, maybe you can do it." In the face of the sudden words, Minato Namikaze was obviously startled, and immediately met the turbid eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage, and said with a wry smile, "Could it be that I can say no? I'll do my best." Seeing Minato Namikaze agree, the 3 generations of Hokage also nodded slightly, looked at the sealed gate in the distance, and said loudly, "Okay, it's time to decide the fate of the ninja world. They're here, let's get ready to." "Yes, the 3 generations of Hokage-sama." "Yes, teacher." With a series of answering sounds spread, the people standing behind the 3 generations of Hokage disappeared like ghosts. Faced with all this, the 3rd Hokage took out a scroll in his arms with his backhand. Looking at the mysterious pattern above, a look of helplessness flashed across the slightly old-fashioned face. With a faint sigh, he said, "If everything doesn't work, this should be the last resort." The voice dissipated with the wind, and the body of the 3 generations of Hokage also rolled up a breeze, and the next moment disappeared out of thin air. The 5 Shadow Talks was located on the venue where the Uchiha clan forced the palace and recommended Long Yu to become the 4th Hokage. However, this time there were not many onlookers, only some approved ninjas could enter the venue. Among them, the appearance of Jiraiya, Tsunade, Uchiha Fuyu and others obviously attracted the attention of some people in the field. "Uncle, are things settled?" Shisui took the lead and couldn't hold back his breath and asked. In the face of Uchiha Ryu of the same age, the fierceness that is like the sun in the sky, and the fierceness that he can't even reach, makes Shisui have a kind of inexplicable urgency. He desperately wanted to show himself well in front of everyone. "Don't worry, the 3 generations of Hokage have already agreed, and the 4 generations of Hokage will cooperate with you at that time. I hope you can successfully complete the task." Uchiha Fuyu nodded in reply, looked around, and said, "You didn't tell Itachi about this." Thinking of not long ago, Uchiha Itachi fled the village without authorization because of his pursuit of Long Yu, ran into Taki Ninja Village, and was almost hunted by someone with a heart. This made Uchiha Fuyu undoubtedly keep an eye out. After all, a genius son is not. You can give birth if you want. Although in the face of Uchiha Ryu, enchanting monsters, it is impossible to compare with him. But for Fuyu, it is also a kind of honor. Moreover, as the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, because of Uchiha Ryukazu, the Uchiha clan, who have always been oppressed, got the opportunity to raise their heads and pay attention. This made Uchiha Fuyu have to try his best to cultivate Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, so that he can maximize the influence of the Uchiha family in the coming days. "Uncle, don't worry, Itachi is staying at home obediently. As for Obito, they are also being monitored by the clan. In a short period of time, they will not be able to contact Long Yu." Uchiha Shisui replied. "When I think of it, the former little fanboy is no longer fanatical about himself." This makes Uchiha Shisui, who is accustomed to being respected by Uchiha Itachi, a difficult and acceptable gap. And his title of the first genius in the past, because of the appearance of Uchiha Obito and Uchiha Ryu, became not fragrant. When I think about it, these 2 old days are just the tail of a crane. Now that he has turned from a daiosi to a rich and handsome man, Uchiha Shisui couldn't help clenching his fists. "Shisui, are you alright?" Uchiha Fuyu glanced at Shisui with a slightly livid look, patted his shoulder and asked. Shisui suddenly came back to his senses and hurriedly shook his head. "Uncle, I have nothing to do, but the thought of being able to fight Uchiha Ryu makes me a little nervous." For Shisui, he still has a secret that he didn't tell Uchiha Fuyuke. When proposing to use illusion to deal with Long Yu, Uchiha Shisui just told Fuyu that his kaleidoscope writing wheel eye has powerful hypnotic ability. It did not break the existence of other gods. After all, if outsiders know that the ninjutsu possessed by his kaleidoscope Sharingan can forcibly change a person's thinking, even let people become his slaves completely and obey any orders from him. I am afraid that no one is willing to let Uchiha Shisui perform this battle. Other words, like Danzo in the original book, after knowing this kind of sky-defying pupil on his kaleidoscope and stare at him. 1 inch. Yes, in the past 6 months, the means and strength that Long Yu has shown is indeed far beyond our understanding, and it is to be expected that you are nervous. Uchiha Fuyu did not doubt, nodded and sighed. If Long Yu is not a rebel now, it would be great, then the prestige of our Uchiha clan will reach its peak. However, you don't have to worry, there are 2 Hokage, and the shadow of the 4 major ninja villages. Even if you fail, there will be no problem. Uchiha Shisui clenched his fists secretly when his reputation reached its peak, his expression still unchanged, and said, "Uncle, don't worry, I will do my best, and I will never lose the face of the Uchiha clan. Now count the time, the 5 shadows are coming soon, let's hurry up and prepare. Well, be careful too." Uchiha Fuyu didn't say much. After nodding casually, he quickly came to his post. Looking at the distant back of Fuyu, Uchiha Shisui's face flashed a trace of ruthlessness, and he gritted his teeth and said to himself, "What a good Uchiha Ryu, I never thought that after becoming a rebel, it would be unforgettable. However, if you dare to appear, then I will make you regret it and become my slave obediently. At that time, let alone the glory of the Uchiha clan, Hokage's position will also fall on me. I will be the first of the Uchiha clan." Chaotic thoughts flashed in Uchiha Shisui's mind. The next moment, without waiting for him to think about it, a rolling thunder like thunder struck from the sky. Such a powerful scene instantly made Uchiha Shisui's nerves tense, and he hurriedly followed the voice. First thing that caught the eye was a blue thunder light slashing down from the sky. Boom. To read the novel without underline. Chapter 263, The Convening of the Five Shadows Conference. Thunder exploded, and the splashing arc raged around like a ferocious electric snake. After all the thunder light disappeared, the first to catch the eye was the dark-skinned fourth-generation Reikage eye. "Brother, yo, how can we catch up with you walking so fast?" With the emergence of the fourth generation of Reikage, Rabbi, the eight-tailed person who was a fit for the thunder plow hot knife, also appeared shortly after. Compared with the stormy appearance of the fourth Reikage, Kurabi's rap skills are obviously not flattering. But the identity of the eight-tailed person Zuri is clearly here, and no one dares to stop him in the face of his appearance. HMPH, how come Hokage, who is the host, hasn't been there yet? This is too rude. 4 generations of Reikage just stood firm, ignoring Kurabi's rap, looked around in the field, and couldn't help shouting coldly. However, the words fell. A gust of breeze rolled back, and the scattered leaves were drilled into the seat under the watchful eyes of the public. Soon he saw a slightly old-fashioned figure appearing on the empty first place. "Hee, the fourth generation of Lei Ying's words is serious. The old man has something to prepare just now, so I'm late, I hope you don't mind." 3 Hokage showed a hint of apology. The fourth generation of Reikage sat down on the chair and said disdainfully, "HMPH, you Konoha Ninja Village, the 2 Hokage are together, how can our Yun Ninja Village dare to play an axe here?" "Haha, the fourth generation Reikage is right, Sarutobi Hizen, you bastard, you pushed a fourth generation Hokage out, and you didn't hide behind the scenes to drink tea, and then ran out to toss the so-called Five Shadows meeting. It's a bit embarrassing, don't you believe it, the fourth Hokage of Konoha Shinobi Village." Quote. The old laughter came from the sky. Soon 3 figures could be seen descending from the sky. Be able to be so carefree, in front of the public, shouting the 3 generations of Hokage as a bastard, only 2 days can be done by Oyegi. Facing this old rival, the 3 generations of Hokage were obviously not surprised. The cigarette stick in his hand tapped on the table lightly, and said, "Onogi, you're still the same, and your stubborn personality can't be changed. I also really want to hide behind the scenes and drink tea, but unfortunately my strength doesn't allow it." Minato's qualifications to become the 4th Hokage are still relatively low. It is obviously not convincing to invite everyone to hold the Five Shadows meeting. Then I am the only old immortal who throws out my face and asks for a bit of thinness. The face of this modest speech, and standing by the side waiting, as the dignified 4th Hokage Nika's Minato, suddenly felt helpless. Although I knew that the 3 generations of Hokage were just giving Onogi a step down the stairs, it was a bit difficult to be held down by someone going down the stairs like this. However, before Namikaze Minato showed any displeasure, he soon saw the sound of water waves and waves coming from all around. Soon 3 figures appeared. The leader of them is the expressionless, paralyzed Yakura Godachibana, and the 6-tailed man Riki Utaka, who rarely makes an appearance. The last Terumi Mei. As Terumi Mei appeared, a pair of beautiful eyes seemed to flicker, and after looking around the arena without a trace of disappointment appeared on her pretty face. Before she could react, she fell into speaking, but Terumi Mei's expression did not change. "Terumi Mei, you don't have to look at it. If that guy appeared, they wouldn't have the leisure to talk about it here." Goji Tachibana Yakura said coldly. I don't care if there is any relationship between you and Uchiha Ryu. What's the matter? I just hope you don't lose the chain at the critical moment, otherwise no matter what your identity is, you can't escape blame. Terumi Mei's expression couldn't help changing, and when she thought of the high-ranking Godachibana Yakura, after becoming the fourth generation of Mizukage, the iron fist and means established by her, even her spine couldn't help but shudder. After silently nodding and agreeing, he stood obediently behind Yutaki Yakura and remained silent. Hehe, the 4 generations of water shadows are indeed as rumored as to behave in a resolute manner, and even the way they discipline their subordinates is different from that of people. 3 generations of Hokage laughed dryly and said, thanks to the 4 generations of water shadows, the last time the 5 shadows meeting was held will provide an opportunity for this time to be held in Konoha Ninja Village. Old man, it should be said here, thank you very much. Thanks to the 4 generations of water shadows just sitting down, looking at the warm smiles on the face of the 3 generations of Naruto, he said disdainfully, the 3 generations of Naruto, should I understand your words as a sneer? As we all know, the last time the 5 Shadows Conference was held in the country of Iron, but because the concept of the 4 generations of Hokage did not match, the most was stillborn. If this time is not the 3rd generation of Hokage, it was held with an old face, and we in the village of Fog Ninja also love peace. Otherwise, who will go for nothing? However, a junior like me, I don't have any other ideas. I just hope that the 3 generations of Hokage can really successfully hold the 5 Shadows Conference. Don't let us go in vain, otherwise it will make the 4 ninja villages unhappy. Konoha 1 Ninja Village, I'm afraid I can't bear it. The slightly elusive voice has an inexplicable provocative taste. Looking at the many Konoha ninjas who were about to blow their hair in an instant, the 3 generations of Hokage still waved their hands with a smile, signaled calmness, and said with a smile, 4th generation Mizukage, you are serious, the 5 Shadows Conference was held for the purpose of peace in the ninja world. However, to make the meeting go smoothly, you still need the efforts of everyone. As for the 4th generation of Mizukage, I hope that for the future peace of the ninja world, you can restrain yourself a little in front of Uchiha Ryu. You should also know that Uchiha Ryu's character is temperamental. If the negotiation fails because of one talk, it will ruin the intentions of other shinobi villages. I'm afraid it will be equally difficult to take responsibility. Goji Tachibana Yakura's expression suddenly sank, but unfortunately there is a feeling that he can't refute. In the face of the crowd, he smelled of gunpowder all over his body. It can be said that this meeting is not only for the convening of the 5 Shadows Conference, but also for a war without gunpowder smoke. Whoever loses and who wins, it all depends on one mouth. However, it wasn't until Yakura Tachibana opened his mouth. A figure with an even darker face, under the watchful eyes of the public, walked quickly to the outside of the arena. Holding Luo Sha, who had his dissatisfaction written all over his face, and the old man following him, he exuded strange chakra fluctuations. In an instant, they seemed to have reached a consensus. This time the 5 Shadows Conference was held, they were completely defending against wolves, thieves and dragon feathers, and even the tailed beast weapons in the clan were directly brought by their side. The one-tailed pillar of the Sand Ninja Village is able to share the blessings. Zhu Lihan, the 5-tailed man of Iwanan Village. The 6-tailed man of Mist Ninja Village is tall. Rabbi Richie, the 8-tailed man of Yunnan Village. Finally, there is Kushina, the vortex of the 9-tailed man. It can be said that this time is not only the convening of the 5 Shadows Conference. Even the last 5-headed tailed beast was summoned on this occasion. After all, in their eyes, this time, in addition to the 5 shadow talks, they also had to face Uchiha Ryu head-on. Chapter 264, Reinin Village is ready. Although they are shadow-level powerhouses, they have more or less confidence in their hearts. But when they think of Uchiha Ryu's endless means, it seems that with the strength of people, they will only increase their confidence. Moreover, if the tailed beast is left in the ninja village, it will be caught by him in a nest. That's even more unacceptable. HMPH, it seems that the 5 major ninja villages are all here. Why haven't I seen Uchiha Ryu appear? Even such an important meeting. Is it possible to be late for such an important meeting? This is contempt and insult to our 5 major ninja villages. The 4th generation of Reikage took the lead and couldn't hold back his breath, and his right hand was wrapped in thunderlight and slammed down towards the table. Bang! The huge rock tabletop, under this punch, instantly spread out cracks like spider webs. Let Jiraiya and others look slightly changed. The very beginning, they took the opportunity to make things difficult with the 4 Shadow Club, but they didn't expect the 4th Reikage Club to become violent so quickly. However, before they could react, a hoarse voice suddenly came from outside. Hee hee, I heard a roar from far away. I didn't expect that. I haven't seen you for so long. You are still the same old boy. The only difference is that you have inherited the position of your dead father and become the 4th generation of Reikage. At this moment, the unpredictable voice of words scattered in the heaven and earth like a magic sound. Of the people present changed suddenly, especially the 4th Reikage. When he saw the identity of the visitor clearly, his pupils shrank even more, and he shouted in unison. Sanzo Fish Hanzo, why are you here? If it is said that the Sanjiao Hanzo is the last ninja war, the title of the demigod is even more worthy of the attention of the 4 major ninja villages. After all, this is a war provoked by one person. As a small country, Yunin village can become the initiator of the Second Ninja World War. Behind all this, it is inevitable that Sanjiao Hanzo will help fuel the flames. It can be said that in the Second Ninja World War, if Sanjiao Hanzo's methods are not excellent, but also have the title of a demigod, and face the 5 major ninja villages to turn the tide. I am afraid that the 5 countries that have been attacked by the group have been completely leveled. Right now, Hanzo, Sanshoyu, suddenly appeared in the 5 Shadows talk. If they really agreed, it would be a disguised admission that Yurin village was on an equal footing with them. As for the country of Iron, from the very beginning, it was a village of shinobi that was independent from the world of shinobi. Therefore, the 5 major countries do not have such concerns. Everyone, don't be impatient. This time, Your Excellency Hanzo, came to participate in the 5 Shadow Talks, which is the result of my proposal. The 3 generations of Hokage took the lead in making a clearance. However, as soon as these words came out, Luo Sha took the lead and said, 3 generations of Hokage, we respect you, so we agreed to hold a meeting of the 5 Shadows to discuss the countermeasures against Uchiha Ryu. Now, it's a bit unreasonable that you even pull some miscellaneous things to the meeting without going through us. If you don't have a reasonable answer today, then don't blame our 4 great ninja villages for turning their faces away and leaving Konoha Ninja Village. The awe-inspiring voice reverberated in the field, causing many people's faces to change suddenly. Especially as the host, Jiraiya and the others, Luo Sha's actions fell into their eyes, no doubt intentionally undermining the prestige of their Konoha Shinobi village. However, this time, it is not until the 3rd Hokage speaks. Sancho Fish half storage rate. Seat first, my eyes swept across the field like a torch, and said coldly, I'm sorry, I'm here this time on behalf of Lord Longyu to participate in this so-called 5 Shadows talk. At this moment, the voice that represented Uchiha Ryu's small voice, as if filled with magic sound, made the nerves of everyone in the field suddenly tense. Luo Sha, who was uttering wild words at first, couldn't help but slapped himself. In the beginning, he planned to ridicule the Sanshoyu Hanzo and run the Konoha Ninja Village, so that he could gain enough initiative in the next 5 Shadows meeting. However, Luo Sha never imagined that this move would directly turn the Sanjiao Hanzo into a king fried. It also came up with an unexpected result. Of Raing's face sank, and he said sharply, Hanzo, if you are here, you should be very clear about why this 5 Shadows conference was held today. The strength of your Yurin village is second only to our 5 major powers among small countries. However, some things can be said, and some things can't be said nonsense. You should know this very well. You are now threatening to rebel against Konoha, and Uchiha Ryu is in the same camp. This means that your Urin village will accept the anger of our 5 great nations at any time. Having said that, the fourth Raikage squeezed the teacup on the table with his right hand, and his 5 fingers suddenly exerted force. Was directly crushed into crumbs and scattered on the table. The awe-inspiring voice sounded again, like a single word, slurped out. Hanzo, have you seen this wine glass? This will be the end of your Urin village's jokes. As the voices of the fourth Raikage disappeared, the eyes of everyone in the field turned and locked on the body of Sanshoyu Hanzo. To find a change of expression on his face. Boy, is this your confidence? Sanjiao Hanzo suddenly opened his mouth, his eyes looked at the fourth Raikage without any hesitation, and said, compared to your father, you are still too far behind. This time, you guys treat me as Sanjiao Hanzo, whether it's a joke or not. I am here just to announce one thing. Our Urin village is already under the command of Lord Uchiha Ryu. If your 5 major shinobi villages are going to go to war, our Urin village is ready. Speaking of which, Sanjiao Hanzo looked around like a torch, and said in a deep voice, perhaps, in your eyes, our Urin village is just a hard bone and seems insignificant. However, I, Sanjiao Hanzo, will let you know that the 5 great ninja villages will have to pay a lot to swallow our hard bones. The voice of Chang's words rolled and spread out, with an undeniable taste, and when he landed on the field, many people's expressions changed drastically. This is a demigod, and even the prestige of Konoha Sannin was bestowed by him personally. However, now the former is high above, in the ninja world, it is enough to become a character like the Big Dipper of Mount High. Now he has surrendered to Uchiha Ryu's command. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes and heard it with their own ears, they would never have believed that it was all true. Facing this sudden scene, even the face of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hizen changed slightly. Because in the information replied by Kosuke and others, it was obviously not mentioned. Chapter 265, Let's Fight. Insolent guy. The fourth Raikage roared first. The thunder light all over the body, the moment the crackling sounded, the chakra dormant in the body detonated like a frenzy, turned into a tyrannical breath, and rolled towards Sanjiao Hanzo head-on. The rest of Luasha, Utaki Yakura, and Onogi, that tyrannical chakra also detonated. At this moment, there was only one thought in their hearts, which was to use this method to deter Sanjiao Hanzo and to verify the truth of this statement. However, in the face of this gust-like breath, Sanjiao Hanzo was as motionless as if he was sitting on the top of Mount High. The torch-like eyes, the pupils stared slightly, and a chakra wave that was not inferior to the body came out. He didn't have the courage of the Second Ninja World War. Likewise, there is no longer the grandeur of the past, and the so-called demigod is powerless to resist in the hands of Long Yu. But aside from all this, the title of the demigod remains the same, and the tyrannical chakra fluctuations that came out of the body collided with each other with a stubborn attitude. PFF'd, 5 chakra breaths, like a dragon coming out of the abyss, collided instantly. Under the tyrannical air wave, the air collided with the air, and the air ripples that were splashed out were even more visible to the naked eye. Which was originally cracked by the 4th generation Raikage hammer, was the first to be unbearable under this chakra confrontation, and a crisp cracking sound was emitted. The cobweb-like crack quickly spread and opened. However, this time, the 3 generations of Hokage did not stand idly by. Right hand sticks out like lightning and presses it on the table. Dormant, the chakra fluctuations in his body exploded instantly. Compared with other people's scattered shocks, the fluctuations condensed by the 3 generations of Hokage, like a pair of training, directly penetrated the central vortex where everyone's breath collided. In this kind of forcible intervention, the originally extremely unbalanced breaths collided and completely lost their balance in an instant. The scattered breath rolled away directly. Okay, everyone, please allow me to say something. If you are willing to fight like this, I, Konoha Ninja Village, are willing to provide you with a battlefield, but don't forget, this time we are gathered here for the Five Shadows Conference, and ultimately the purpose of the convening. Hokage's hand tapped on the table. Not long ago, didn't you say that Uchiha Ryu didn't arrive in time, and now Your Excellency Hanzo, since he can represent his intentions, then our Five Shadows Conference will not be able to start smoothly. Speaking of which, the eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage passed over the 4 generations of Raikage and others, and he added in a deep voice, you still think that the 5 big ninja villages will lose? These words fell, Luo Sha and the others' faces became abrupt. In the face of the appearance of Sanshoyu Hanzo, their emotions are obviously a little bit. But it also hits the point of the 3 generations of Hokage, which is similar to the feeling of a frightened bird. When you think about it, it's obvious. Seeing the situation calm down in an instant, the 3rd Hokage secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But in his heart, he had already greeted the whole family of Kosuke and Matai. Sanshoyu Hanzo to attend the Five Shadows Conference, it was to strengthen the bargaining chip with Uchiha Ryu 1. However, everything I do now has the feeling of making wedding dresses for others. Was as if he lifted a stone and smashed it on his feet. However, the arrow had to be sent on the string. Uchiha Ryu didn't arrive in time, and a spokesperson, Sanshoyu Hanzo, came, and he barely arrived. First confirmation right now is Uchiha Ryu's intention, so that the meeting can continue. Okay, now that everyone has calmed down, let's start again today for the purpose of holding the Five Shadows Conference. After the 3 generations of Hokage pondered for a while, they looked at Sanshoyu Hanzo, and said solemnly, Your Excellency Hanzo, since you are representing Uchiha Ryu to attend the Five Shadows Conference, I would like to know if you already know the premise of our negotiation. If you don't know, the old man can repeat it again. These words fell, everyone's eyes turned in unison, and locked on the body of Sanshoyu Hanzo. As the 3 generations of Hokage said, since Sanshoyu Hanzo came on behalf of Uchiha Ryu, any reply from him can change the pattern of the ninja world. For a time, there was an indescribable depressing aura shrouded in the huge conference venue, as if an invisible big hand clenched the hearts of everyone. Sanshoyu Hanzo's torch-like gaze swept across the field and said, Lord Longyu's answer is very simple, as long as you take out the tailed beast, the ninja world will be free from war, otherwise we will not hesitate to fight. Snatch all the remaining 5-tailed beasts. The small voice, at this moment, was full of awe-inspiring meaning, hitting the depths of one's soul. Even the look of the 3 generations of Hokage couldn't help but stagnate, and he was the first to say, Hanzo, Sanshoyu, can you really make a decision on behalf of Uchiha Ryu? You are now declaring war on our 5 major ninja villages, and the consequences are just as the 4th Raikage said, once your Rain Ninja village fails, it will be razed to the ground. So, I will ask you again now, I hope you can consider it carefully and give the real answer, otherwise don't blame our 5 great ninja village for being rude. At the end of the day, the turbidity in the eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage dissipated, and there was a trace of inspiring spirit. It seems that he intends to use all of this to make Sanshoyu Hanzo change the answer. However, just as this thought came into my mind, the next words that fell in my ears exploded like thunder. Hand over the tailed beast, or fight. The simple answer was slurped out like a word, and fell between the heavens and the earth, and there was no way to disperse it for a long time. The expressions of the people present suddenly changed dramatically, and before they could think about it, the low-pitched thunder and bombardment abruptly ripped apart. You bastard, that kid dares to speak madly, is it because he is afraid of death and does not dare to appear? Then I will tear down your old bones first. The roar of the 4th Raikage rose into the sky. Under the skyrocketing thunder light, like a thunderbolt across the sky, he maximized his speed and directly attacked Sanshoyu Hanzo head-on. A short distance of more than 10 meters, in the case of Lei Dun chakra mode and activated cells, the speed is obviously exerted to the extreme. Right hand was entwined with thunder light, without any fancy, and slashed toward the Sanshoyu Hanzo. Thunderbolt thunderstorm is 1,000 feet level. The violent blow caused the faces of Nagato and Yahiko, who were guarding Sanshoyu Hanzo, who were wearing Anbu costumes and masks, to change dramatically. They know very well that once the Sanshoyu Hanzo gives this answer, I am afraid that the other party will not abide by the so-called regulations that the meeting cannot be taken away. Chapter 266, A Strange Ninjutsu. However, Nagato and Yahiko never imagined that the fourth generation of Reikage would not make a move, and the speed of a shot would explode to such an extreme. When they reacted, the sharp blade wrapped around Lei Guang's right hand, like a wide opening and closing, slashed straight towards Sanjiao Hanzo. If this blow really hits the front, Nagato and Yahiko believe that Sanshoyu Hanzo may be a dead end. Shen Luo Tianzhong. Nagato didn't hesitate, they had already made various countermeasures on the way. Facing this violent attack in front of him, Nagato's Shinra Tianzhong undoubtedly had an unexpected effect. The reincarnation eye hidden under the mask suddenly turned. The tyrannical repulsive force exploded instantly like a frenzy. The hand knife, which had been slashing out with Wanjun Leiwei rolling force, seemed to be slashing through an invisible barrier, and suddenly stopped. The next moment, before the fourth Reikage could react, a huge impact came head-on like a wave. At the same time, under this short-lived absence, Sanshoyu Hanzo obviously got a chance to breathe, and directly took out the chain sickle with his backhand. At such a close distance, the sharp blade glowing with cold light, under the sudden shaking of Sanjiao Hanzo's right hand, took the fourth-generation Reikage's throat and left. The violent scene seems to be seamless. Like flowing clouds and flowing water, it only took a short breath or two from the moment the impact was released, to the violent attack of the Sanshoyu Hanzo. Faced with this kind of death-seeking combo, the fourth Reikage hurriedly wanted to withdraw and retreat. However, the strength of the body was mentioned a little, and the invisible force that enveloped the body again in the next moment changed in an instant. Vientian Tianian. Nagato's eyes of reincarnation were instantly driven to the extreme. The outburst of tyrannical pupil power gushed out like he didn't want money. After the Shen Luo Tianzhong came out, the cooling time was always calculated silently. When he saw that the fourth Reikage was planning to withdraw and retreat, he hurriedly drove the recovered pupil technique again. Turn the repulsive force into an attractive force in an instant. All the movements of Reikage 4, who hurriedly fled, were blocked. Strong is just a matter of thought, let alone on this kind of life and death battlefield. Faced with the sudden change in his body, the fourth Reikage was obviously too late to react, and the only thing he could do was to watch the cold sickle in Hanzo's hands, slashing down his neck. Although there is a thunderbolt armor to protect the body, there is still a trace of inexplicable anxiety in the heart of the fourth generation of Reikage. Perhaps this blow could barely break his Thunder-Dun armor, but could not cut off his head. But in case the blade cuts through his skin, Sanshoyu Hanzo is known in the ninja world as a poisonous fighting method. What awaits him will also be seriously injured and defeated. Powerhouse of the dignified 5 ninja village, facing such a big loss, it is simply a shame to throw it home. Chaotic thoughts flashed through the fourth Reikage, watching the rapidly dilated attack in his pupils. In the confinement of Vientian Tianian, the only thing you can do is to grit your teeth, bite the bullet, and go up. However, as soon as the thought of dying was born, the body felt a sudden tightening. A huge octopus leg wrapped around the fourth Reikage body one step ahead. Without any bells and whistles, it was pulled straight to the rear. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. The scythe that was slashed down by Sanshoyu Hanzo suddenly lost its target and nailed it straight to the table. Bang! Sparks splashed, and the sickle instantly penetrated the heavy stone platform. Originally, it was smashed by the fourth generation of Reikage. Under the collision of the tyrannical chakra breath, the cracked stone platform occurred. Under the blow of this force, unable to bear it finally, a roar sounded, and in front of everyone's eyes, it shattered. At the moment when the dust rolled back, the 5 shadows who were present got out and scattered, and Hanzo and Nagato also landed not far away, and looked at everyone on guard. Yo-yo, brother, are you all right? am glad I prepared octopus feet for you early in the morning. Kurabi instantly pulled the fourth Raikage back to his side. As a collaborator of the fourth generation of Raikage and Lei Plow Hot Knife, Kurabi is very aware of how stinky his eldest brother is. So every time I see the fourth generation of Raikage taking a shot, I will secretly prepare octopus feet, just in case. Originally, with the Thunder Shadow Chakra mode of the fourth generation Raikage, under the extreme speed and tyrannical defense, there are only 4 Raikage beatings, and there is no point where Kurabi comes in handy. However, the opponent he faced this time was different, and the backhand prepared by Kurabi came in handy. The fourth Raikage stood firm, with a hint of livid on his face, and stared straight at the Sanshoyu Hanzo for a moment. Passing his figure, it landed on Nagato and Yahiko, and said in a deep voice, "Sanzo Fish Hanzo, no wonder you dare to go wild in Konoha Ninja Village. It turned out that you brought 2 powerful little people with you." The inexplicable words made Luosha and the others startled for a while. Everything just now seemed very complicated. However, between before and after, it is only a short 10-odd breath. From Sanjiao Hanzo's position, to the fourth generation of Raikage's attack. In the end, it evolved to the point where the Sanshoyu Hanzo almost beheaded the fourth Raikage. That kind of change in the situation gives people a feeling of being out of sight. It can be said that, let alone Jiraiya and others, looking at the other shadow-level powerhouses in the field, there is no way to figure out in an instant why the fourth Raikage was restricted from moving. Fourth Raikage, what happened just now? Onogi was the first to ask questions. The eyes of everyone present swiped and locked on the fourth generation of Raikage, with a hint of urgency on their faces. After all, in this kind of life and death battle, the slightest carelessness will lead to a catastrophe. If you can get useful information, for the next battle, it is no less than a little more life-saving life. It's a strange ninjutsu. Fourth Raikage said in a deep voice. In the moment just now, I was hit head-on by a powerful impact force. When I was about to withdraw and retreat, my body was restricted by an invisible attraction, like being imprisoned in midair, unable to move at all. If I really want to say it, I suspect that the 2 men brought by Sanshoyu Hanzo have a means to control the repulsive force and the gravitational force. The expressions of those who were present with repulsion and gravitation suddenly changed, and they could also become old-fashioned beings in the ninja world. However, this is the first time I have seen this strange ninjutsu. Jiraiya, who was standing beside Sandai Hokage, couldn't help but change slightly when he looked at Nagato and Yahiko. 2 inexplicably familiar figures appeared in my heart. Boy, wait a while and find an opportunity to retreat first. I'm afraid this negotiation will collapse. They obviously don't plan to talk about the bottom line. I'm afraid it won't be so easy to retreat. Sanjiao Hanzo clenched the chain sickle in his hand. Chapter 267. Force Long Yu to come out. His eyes suddenly turned and locked on the body of the fourth Raikage. The fight just now seemed to be very short-lived, but in the face of the fourth generation of Raikage, the extreme speed and onslaught, Sanjiao Hanzo had to raise his spirits. No, we agreed to come together, then we have to go together. Yahiko suddenly panicked. Although not long ago, they each had their own masters, and they were still in opposition. But at the moment, it is mainly Uchiha Ryu. Under this predicament, Sanshoyu Hanzo is even more willing to stay and break, which obviously stimulates Yahiko's stunned foolishness. Don't worry, Hanzo, although he saw through my means, I will create an opportunity for everyone to escape together. As long as they reunite with Long Yu, they will have nothing to do with us. Nagato also opened suddenly. Sanjiao Hanzo heard the words, and after a moment of silence, he took out 2 portable syringes in his arms and said, "Take it first, I can't take care of you when we fight, if there is a chance, just leave first. I'm different from you, I have already taken back an old life in the hands of Lord Longyu, and living for so long is enough. With you and Lord Longyu here, I have no worries, and finally I can settle the old account with the 5 great ninja villages. Already." The words were not too loud, with a dignified taste. Sanjiao Yu Hanzo took off the respirator from his mouth with his backhand, which instantly changed the expressions of everyone in the arena. After all, the demigod mountain pepperfish Hanzo can dominate the ninja world, and the poison attack is first class. After transplanting the Saccharomyces cerata, even the gas it breathes out is poisonous. Now that the breathing mask is removed, this is undoubtedly the biggest walking biochemical weapon. And once you fight, the amount of physical exercise will increase, and the rate of breathing will also increase. By that time, the rate of poisoning will also skyrocket. In such a highly toxic environment, I am afraid that it will not take a few minutes to die from the highly poisonous body. Tsunade. Zilai also gave a hurried cry, which instantly attracted the attention of many people. After all, in the huge ninja world, they knew very well that the title of Konoha Sannin was obtained in the fight with Sanshoyu Hanzo. This means that, as one of the best medical ninjas in the ninja world, Tsunade should have a hand in dealing with the highly poisonous Sanshoyu Hanzo. Don't worry, I've already made preparations. Although I haven't played against Sanshoyu Hanzo after many years, this vaporized antidote can last for 5 minutes, and can weaken or even suppress toxicity. Tsunade learns from the mouth of the 3 generations of Hokage that the Sanshoyu Hanzo will come. I also received an order to develop this antidote to restrain the poisonous sac of the pepperfish in advance. I don't know how effective it will be, but it will definitely come in handy. Okay, since there is this medicine, 5 minutes is enough. The 4th Raikage looked coldly at Sanshoyu Hanzo. Caught off guard just now, and it was Nagato's secret loss. But as the strongest in Yunnin village, he also knows how to quickly deal with this repulsion and attraction. What's more, on this battlefield right now, Shinobu village is gathered. Even the shadow-level powerhouses have 6 people 6, with 5-tailed orcs pillar power. That combat power has soared to 11. As for other ninjas, there are countless. Don't say one Sanshoyu Hanzo, even if there are a few more. The 4th Raikage firmly believes that the so-called demigods can be easily suppressed. 4th generation Raikage, since Sanshoyu Hanzo claims to be able to represent Uchiha Ryayu, if he doesn't show up on his own initiative, then as long as we catch them, Uchiha Ryayu will definitely do it. Appears, and at that time, it should not be difficult to gather the strength of our 5 great ninja villages as a bargaining chip to make him surrender. Luo Sha was the first to sternly agree. Thinking of everything that happened in Sand Ninja Village not long ago. Although what happened, Luo Sha issued a gag order. But when I think about it, if it wasn't for Uchiha Ryayu's repeated intervention, his plan would not have been destroyed. Yi King will still die in the dark as a hero. The villagers still honor and mourn her as a hero. As for him, the new 4th generation Kage, he was also respected and looked up to by everyone even when he was in danger. However, now because of Long Yu, all Luo Sha's plans have been completely disrupted. Thinking of those people in the village who were in awe on the surface but scolded him in secret, Luo Sha could not wait to tear Long Yu to pieces. What's more, in Luo Sha's eyes, no matter how powerful Uchiha Ryayu is, facing the union of the 5 great ninja villages, it is impossible to make any big waves. 4th Kage is right, instead of letting Uchiha Ryayu continue to disrupt the ninja world, let's force him out and let him submit. 2 days later, Onogi also agreed in a deep voice. Unlike other ninja villages, there are many ninjas in their rock ninja village, but there are very few who want to find an outstanding junior among them to inherit his soil shadow position. It is rare to find a genius ninja Deidara. I thought that if it was cultivated slowly, it would be able to take his place and become the 4th generation of Earth's shadows, so that he could well retreat behind the scenes. I never thought that it would be easily abducted by Uchiha Ryayu. Okay, since everyone has the same idea, then I will do my part and take the position of the main attack. The 4th Raikage grinned grimly. Lightning splashed all over his body, his right foot suddenly exerted force, and the ground where it landed was cracked like a spider web with a roaring sound. The violent scene, when Nagato and the others reacted, the first thing that caught the eye was a figure that struck like a thunderbolt. "Give me 5 seconds. Nagato's expression changed, and he shouted in a hurry. "Good." Sanjiao Hanzo was the first to agree, and the moment he uttered the words, after having the experience just now, he obviously got used to it. The torch-like gaze instantly locked onto the fourth Raikage who was attacking from the sky. He clenched the chain tightly with his backhand and used the scythe. The whole person was like a scabbard-like blade. Without any bells and whistles, it brought a stern cold light and struck him head-on. Swordsmanship. A flash. The sword light was like a tide, and it collided with the incoming thunder light figure. Boom! The rolling thunder exploded, and the lightning splash was mixed with sparks. Under the huge impact, he saw the Sanshoyu Hanzo and flew upside down. In front of everyone's eyes, it fell in front of the two of Yahiko, and the chain scythe clenched in their hands clearly still had traces of lightning arcs. Under this hurried collision, Sanshoyu Hanzo seemed to be at a disadvantage. However, the moment a careful person looked at it, he suddenly found that the chain in the hands of Sanjiao was wrapped around the fourth-generation Raikage. The next moment, the right hand suddenly pulled, and the instant the chain tightened, the fourth Raikage, who had retreated a few steps in the collision, was directly tied up. HMPH, Hanzo, you're getting old too. It's ridiculous that you want to trap me with just a chain. The fourth Raikage roared. Chapter 268. The Eye of Reincarnation owned by the Six Path Immortals. Muscles of the whole body are highlighted, and the thunder light splashes and crackles, and the next moment suddenly exerts force. The chain wrapped around his body quickly shattered and opened inch by inch. Tun Dunyan's arm. For 2 days, Oyamu gave a cold drink, and the rock formations on the ground rolled down. A big hand made of rocks headed towards Sancho Fish Hanzo and caught it. Luo Sha, who was on the side, did not hesitate at all, pinching the surgical seal in his hand, and immediately. Then he saw the rolling gold dust and turned it into a big hand. Formed a joint strike-like stance with Tatsuya Onogi. However, the attack of the two had just approached. Nagato, which had closed his eyes at first, suddenly opened. When a gleam of light flashed in the pupils, the repulsive force sphere formed by the frantic suppression of both hands was thrown directly out in an instant. Shen Luo Tianzheng. The slightly foggy sphere collided with the incoming rock hand in an instant. This violent blow, in the eyes of ordinary people, seemed unusually childish. The big move that Nagato spent a lot of time preparing could be disintegrated with a single pinch with a big rock hand. However, the big rock hand suddenly squeezed, and the sphere filled with endless repulsive force exploded directly with a pop. Ohm! The surrounding air vibrated suddenly, and the next moment, the circulating air showed a stagnation. It opened with the turbulence of light waves. A translucent repulsive shock wave exploded instantly. Boom! The wave that bore the brunt of the rolling crush directly smashed the big hand of the rock. Then the big hand of gold dust that came first was also swept away by the invisible wave. For a time, a dazzling light bloomed, and the repulsive force detonated like a raging tide quickly rolled back around. Boom! A series of explosions surged out, colliding with the defensive measures that others have tilly deployed. Seeing that one move succeeded, Nagato didn't have time to think about it, and hurriedly shouted, "Hurry up and escape." Sanshoyu Hanzo and Yahiko reacted quickly, and quickly retreated. Although Sanjiao Hanzo is known as a demigod, and even has the help of Nagato's Samsara Eye, but facing the 5 shadows, and the 5 pillars of power, the only way is to take the 36 strategies as the best strategy. However, the idea has just emerged. The next moment, Nagato saw a flower in front of him. An unexpected figure landed in front of him. His right hand slammed down, and abruptly took off the mask from Nagato's face. The violent scene made Yahiko's expression change drastically. It's different from Nagato, who was weak for a while after his ultimate move. Yahiko didn't take any shots in this fight, and it can be said that among the 3, he has the most power. To escape from Konoha Ninja Village, no. However, when he saw Nagato being stopped and his expression changed, he stopped abruptly. Nagato, why are you here? Zillai's expression suddenly changed. When he first saw Nagato and Yahiko, he caught a hint of familiarity. Moreover, these two Anbu, who were following the Sanshoyu Hanzo, were obviously a little unqualified, and were often distracted. At the same time, his eyes lingered on Jiraiya's body many times. As an excellent ninja, any look will reveal hidden traces. It was because of this déjà vu that Jiraiya used Tsunade to distract the attention of others and sneaked into the vicinity of Yahiko and Nagato. After choosing the right opportunity, he immediately shot up. What kind of eyes are those? I don't know who exclaimed, and immediately caught everyone's attention. The 4 generations of Raikage and others, who had been flying backwards and tried their best to defend themselves, also came back to their senses. Looking at Nagato, they were the first to enter the scene, but their pupils suddenly shrunk. It is the Eye of Reincarnation owned by the Immortals of the 6 Paths. 2 days ago, Onogi was the first to break through. Soon as these words came out, the audience was instantly swept up like a hurricane, and even the third Hokage's expression changed slightly, obviously surprised. What happened today was far beyond his expectations. Regardless of, it was Sanshoyu Hanzo who surrendered to Uchiha Ryu's command. At this juncture, there is a legend that only the 6 Paths Immortals have the Eye of Reincarnation. If you don't see it with your own eyes, absolutely no one wants to believe that all this is true. Teacher Jiraiya. Yahiko hurriedly opened his mouth. However, when he spoke to his mouth, he still swallowed his stomach. They are no longer the ignorant teenagers they used to be. I clearly know the current scene, but it represents the battle of life and death in the ninja world. Right now Nagato was blocked, and he also missed an important opportunity to escape. Success or defeat is an eternal law. You're still too young. The sound of Sanshoyu Hanzo suddenly sounded. Yahiko soon saw that the Sanshoyu Hanzo, who had escaped, turned back and fell by his side, looked at Jiraiya lightly, and said, "You lecherous kid, I didn't expect you and them to have such a relationship. However, everything you do today can be regarded as the kindness they gave you in the past, and then you will live and die." Hearing this, Zillai's face changed involuntarily. The so-called curiosity killed the cat. He never imagined that he would kill his student at this juncture. Seeing Nagato with an indifferent expression and still stubborn expression, Jiraiya also secretly sighed and let go of the hand that caught Nagato. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Nagato didn't take a look at Jiraiya, and fell on Yahiko's side. 3 fell into a desperate situation again. However, they still have a chance to reverse the desperate situation just now. Pity that now the means have been broken, and it is obviously too difficult to seek a trace of life in the 5 shadows. Haha, I originally thought that the Eye of Reincarnation was a legendary thing, but I didn't expect it to exist. The 4th Raikage took the lead in laughing. It seems that the repulsive force and attraction you exerted are the power bestowed by these eyes. Originally, I wanted to get a pair of writing wheel eyes and white eyes in Konoha Ninja Village, but it was more difficult than going to the sky. I didn't expect to encounter the legendary Samsara eyes. This is very lucky. HMPH, 4th Raikage, it's too early to jump to conclusions about the ownership of the Samsara eye. Luo Sha snorted coldly and said, "What we need to do now is to deal with these guys first and force Uchiha Ryu to appear. Otherwise, if there are too many monks and not enough porridge, all efforts will be nonsense." Yes, I also agree with Luo Sha's proposal. 2 days ago, Onogi nodded in agreement, but his eyes turned in vain, but fell on the 3 generations of Hokage, and said, "However, before that, I would like to know, as the convener of this 5 shadow meeting, Konoha Shinobi Village, what attitude should you take? Is it still holding that ridiculous stance and running counter to the philosophy of our 4 great ninja villages, or is it that the 5 great ninja villages cooperate strongly to defeat Uchiha Ryu? Of course, if your Konoha Shinobi village still wants to be a bad guy, then when our 4 major shinobi villages kill Uchiha Ryu, then waiting for your Konoha shinobi village will be the monstrous anger of our 4 great shinobi villages. Chapter 269, Let's All Go Together. The old voice, with an undeniable taste, echoed in the heaven and earth for a long time and could not be dissipated. The expressions of the Konoha ninjas such as the 3 generations of Naruto suddenly changed drastically. Long time, their Konoha ninja village has dealt with the 4 ninja villages and Uchiha Ryu, in order to achieve a balance in this conflict. However, the words that Onogi suddenly raised now obviously forced them to stand in the line of Konoha shinobi village. Facing the hesitation on the face of the 3 generations of Hokage, Jiraiya's expression suddenly changed, and he said in a hurry, "Teacher, don't forget Kosuke, there are many things mentioned in the information, and don't be the enemy of Uchiha Ryu. Don't be an enemy with Uchiha Ryu for 2 days." Onogi was stunned for a while, and then he laughed outrageously. "Haha, Sarutobi seems to be not only the more you live and the more you return, but also your apprentice. Even if Uchiha Longyu is the strongest, can it be against our 5 great ninja villages? Don't forget, when the 5 Shadows Conference was held this time, what did you promise us? If Uchiha Longyu is unwilling to return the tailed beast, you must stand in our crusade, otherwise what will be the consequences? Clear." The voice of Chang's words echoed in the heaven and earth, and there was no way to disperse for a long time. Jilai also looked anxious, and stopped talking, but was interrupted by the wave of the 3 generations of Hokage. "Okay, our Konoha ninja village is keeping its promise." 3 generations of Hokage sighed faintly and said, "Since Uchiha Ryu is unwilling to return the tailed beast, then we will form the 5 Shadows Alliance to fight, otherwise we will go back on our word, and who will believe in our Konoha ninja village in the future?" Having said that, the 3 generations of Hokage looked at Hanzo Sanjiao and said in a deep voice, "Hanzo, since you are the spokesperson of Uchiha Ryu, I will now give you one last chance and tell me Uchiha Ryu's final answer. Return the tailed beast, or declare war with our 5 major ninja villages." Seeing that even the 3rd Hokage, who was erratic at the end, finally made a statement to stand in line. A playful smile appeared on the faces of Luo Sha and the others. Rather than keeping Konoha shinobi village out of the way, it is better to drag it into the water and sit in the same boat, which is more practical. For a time, everyone's eyes were locked on Sanshoyu Hanzo, even Nagato and Yahiko. They knew very well that as long as the answer was returned, the so-called war would be over. They can also live on for a while longer. The huge ruins, hundreds of thousands of pairs of eyes were instantly locked on the body of Sanjiao Hanzo. Nagato and Yahiko, who were in it, couldn't help rolling their Adam's apple and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Facing this answer that decides his own destiny, and even the destiny of the ninja world, obviously makes people nervous. However, before they could speak, an indifferent voice suddenly swept away like a hurricane. "Take out the tail beast." The small voices could not be dissipated for a long time like a magic sound. Everyone's eyes turned abruptly, and soon they saw a spatial vortex appearing beside Sanjiao Hanzo, followed by Orochimaru and... Looking at the figure that suddenly appeared, and the way the space was torn apart, many people's pupils shrank at the same time. The expression of Jiraiya also changed suddenly, hurriedly stepped forward and grabbed Orochimaru's shoulder, and shouted in a hurry, "Orochimaru, are you finally willing to show up? Why? Why did he appear here? Was he caught by Uchiha Ryu? If you, willing to change your mind, I'm a little friendly with him, and I can help you try to plead." Looking at this former companion, Jiraiya was obviously anxious. Hee, Jiraiya, you are still one-sided. In front of so many people, you threaten to make friends with Lord Longyu. Could it be that you also want to be a traitor? I can reserve a place for you. Orochimaru smiled and licked his scarlet tongue. Looking at the left one, Lord Longyu, and the right one, Lord Longyu's Orochimaru, they were stunned. Not long ago, they also witnessed the desperate fight between Longyu and Orochimaru. However, now a grown-up, it's too sloppy to call on a horse, as if the backbone and morality of not long ago are regarded as strangers. However, after seeing with his own eyes even the so-called demigod Sanshoyu Hanzo, he also put himself under the command of Uchiha Ryu. All this has become, of course. But with the appearance of Long Yu, the atmosphere in the field has obviously changed. The 5 people Zuli looked at Long Yu with a little more alertness. Although they believed in the strength of the 5 shadows, the fate of the tailed beasts, after all, was related to the lives of their people, Zuli. Once the tailed beast is lost, it means death. Boom! A thunderous sound suddenly sounded. The crackling thunder light exploded like a frenzy. Where the 4th Reikage was standing suddenly became vacant. The next moment, the figure wrapped around Lei Guang had already appeared in front of Long Yu. You bastard, you are still as arrogant as before. You dare to make trouble in Yunren village. Today I will take your head off. The 4th Reikage roared. The taut hand knife, under the entanglement of thunder, slashed down towards Long Yu's neck. An incomparable gesture seems to have torn the air. However, in the face of all this, Long Yu seemed to be ignorant and spoke indifferently to the last 3 generations of Reikage. Susano. Bang! A scarlet rib, condensed 1 step ahead, collided with the hand knife carrying the might of Wan Jun in an instant. The moment when the dull sound of collision resounded like thunder. A slight crack appeared in the bone. Looking at this scene of Long Yu, the corners of his lips twitched into a smile, and said, "Not bad attacking power, but as an opponent, you are still close. Let's all go together. You win, I will immediately turn around and leave, and return the tailed beasts to you. If you lose, they all belong to me." Talking and laughing like a wind, the 4th generation of Reikage's expression suddenly turned ashen. Once upon a time, he was a powerful ninja world. I never imagined that someone would be so contemptuous in public. Which had suffered a level blow of his thunder and cruelty, but only a trace of cracks appeared on his face, a ruthless expression flashed on his face. Driven frantically by the chakra in the body, the crackling thunder light exploded. With the lumbar disc as the center, the muscles of the right foot suddenly tensed, with a stern sound of breaking through the air. Towards the Uchiha Dragon Feather Force split down. In the eyes of the 4th Reikage, as long as this blow hits the front. Chapter 270, 3 days. The bones that were originally broken will shatter in response. Who is underestimated by the enemy, needs at least 1 or 2 breaths to rebuild his defense. Facing him with the Lei Dun chakra mode, the cells are activated. 1 or 2 breaths was enough time to unleash a set of ultimate moves, twisting Long Yu's head off. However, this idea just sprouted in the mind of the 4th Reikage, and the sight of it shook his nerves. I saw Long Yu move. The blood-colored 9-hook jade kaleidoscope writing wheel suddenly turned down. Scarlet sweat gushed out of his body. The 5th door is open. Boom! The tyrannical steam exploded like a rage, and the crackling arc of thunder splashed down. Like lightning, his right hand suddenly grabbed his right leg wrapped by lightning. Bang! A dull crashing sound suddenly sounded, and the right foot that slashed down with the might of Wan Jun, under everyone's astonished eyes, was like a child's play, and instantly reached out and caught it. The violent scene, even the 4th generation of Reikage's pupils shrank suddenly. I had time to think about it. The fist wrapped in the black thunder light made an awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air, and then smashed hard on the abdomen of the 4th Reikage. Bang! The seemingly indestructible thunder armor, in the Baman Dun armor and black thunder chakra modes, instantly penetrates like a piece of paper. Yu Wei's unabated fist slammed into the abdomen of the 4th Reikage head-on. The moment the crisp sound of bones breaking came out, the 4th Reikage flew backwards like a cannonball. Big brother. Kurabi's expression changed, and he hurried out. The 8 octopus legs protruded quickly, like iron whips, directly intertwined into a large net, blocking the direction of the 4th generation Reikage flying backwards. Bang! With the dull crashing sound, the aftermath of the impact made Kurabi almost unable to stand still, if not for the 8 octopus legs as a buffer. With the help of the brute force of the tailed beast, I am afraid it cannot withstand this blow. The violent scene seems to be very complicated, but the time between the front and back is just the blink of an eye. After waiting to see clearly, the fourth Hokage, who rolled down from the octopus's legs and fractured his chest, suddenly changed the expressions of the people present. Among the 5 shadows, the fourth Hokage is undoubtedly the most adept at taijutsu. Under the activation of Lei Dun chakra, the body is also tempered, and the ability to hit is first class. Ordinary people don't talk about hurting him, and breaking 5 in a row, his Thunder Dun armor, is another matter. However, the source of all these powers, under Uchiha Ryu's light-hearted punch, seemed like a piece of paper. Who would believe it if you didn't see it with your own eyes? The so-called shadow-level powerhouse is so pale. Big brother. Kurabi exclaimed anxiously that it was the first time he saw him in such a state of embarrassment, and he didn't even have the heart to rap. Ahem, don't ask Kurabi, I am fine. After Shaddai Hokage coughed a few times, he struggled to stand up. The crackling sound of thunder in the body came out, and the broken bones were miraculously straightened one by one. Tsunade, who arrived in a hurry, saw that there was no blood on the collapsed chest of the 4th generation of Hokage, and secretly let out a sigh of relief, while the slight tremor on the back of his hand gradually dissipated. Like the original, Tsunade's hyperphobia has eased somewhat during this period. However, the large-scale injuries clearly still could not contain the fear in his heart. 5 broken bones, the only thing that is fortunate. Your physique is stronger than ordinary people. The bones did not pierce the interior, but were slightly displaced. Tsunade left and right. After a few glances, he quickly made a precise evaluation. Of hesitation, he said. However, I hope you don't take part in the battle for now, otherwise it will aggravate the injury and cause internal bleeding. The small sound rolled and dispersed as if it was filled with magic sound. The faces of everyone in the arena changed slightly. No matter it was the moment before, the aggressive 2 days of Ping Onogi, who was still holding grudges, and Yakura, who was scheming and gloomy, also kept silent at this moment. In the face of even the 4th generation Hokage, he couldn't withstand Long Yu's blow. This visual impact is too strong. Why don't you get on? Long Yu looked around the field. The moment he met Long Yu's line of sight, especially Ren Zuli, it was as if his heart was being clenched by an invisible big hand. Kirabi, this person is very strong. It's not that we can easily fight against it, and it's not as simple as you seem. The 8-tailed bull demon spoke first. You mentioned to me not long ago that the 3-tailed guys took the initiative to surrender to that guy, and it seems that it was because of this powerful strength. If it really doesn't work, hand over the initiative, so I might be able to save your life. The unexpected voice made Kurabi's expression change suddenly. During this period of time together, he and Yao are both optimistic and natural-looking. In the face of all kinds of enemies, he has never surrendered easily. Even after many wars, there is only progress that supports each other. However, now, the 8-tailed bull ghost, known as the 9-tailed beast, is second only to the existence of 9-tailed. But at this moment, he proposed to abandon the car and protect the handsome. This was beyond Kurabi's expectations. It can be said that at this juncture, no matter it is Fenfu or Han, even Yugao is no exception. Talking to the tailed beast inside. Although the way of talking is different, the result is the same. The person in front of you is very strong. What's the matter? Did I win without fighting, or are you still not mentally prepared? The air wave that rolled backwards on Long Yu's body instantly dissipated. The field, he said, I'll give you 3 days. 3 days later, we will have a decisive battle on the Gobi Desert west of Konoha Ninja Village. The outcome is the same as before. I hope you will not disappoint me. Long Yu looked around the arena indifferently and said, of course, you can choose to escape or hide, but the result will not change. Those words, Long Yu suddenly turned around in front of everyone's eyes. The 9-goose jade kaleidoscope writing wheel turned in vain, and a space was quickly torn open. Without stopping for a while, he led the crowd into the space. With the figures of Long Yu and others disappearing in front of them, the huge ruins fell into an inexplicable silence. Who was in high spirits a moment ago, has become reticent. After more than 10 minutes, with Tsunade's quick treatment, the fourth generation of Raikage's injuries gradually improved. He took a breath, and said in a deep voice, "Everyone, I was too reckless and committed a serious crime just now." Wrong. It made everyone timid without fighting. However, Uchiha Ryu is not incompetent. Don't forget, we have 6 shadow-level powerhouses here, 5-tailed orcs Zuli, and many ninja elites. No matter how powerful he is, his power is limited. Perhaps, we alone will lose against Uchiha Longyu, but if we gather together, let's ask the whole ninja world, who can stand by us. If I take the initiative to hand over the tailed beast, I would rather have another fight with him. Let's fight and see if his strength is really unshakable. The slightly elusive voice reverberated in this world, and there was no way to dissipate it. Chapter 271. We do not have the courage to be the enemy of God. Onogi also nodded in agreement and said, I also agree with the proposal of the fourth Raikage. Just now, we were careless, so long you could take advantage of it, but 3 days are enough for us to adjust our state and prepare a lot of trump cards. I believe that you will not be willing to hand over the things in the village first. No matter what is for personal glory, the glory of the village, or the glory of our 5 great nations, we must not retreat from this battle. Yes, absolutely can't go back. Rosa gritted her teeth. 3 days later, we have to let Uchiha Ryu know clearly the strength of the 5 big ninja villages, and let him understand how desperate it feels to be against the 6 Kage and 5 people Zuli all at once. The meal of the 4 shadow-level powerhouses. After the inspiring declaration, the people gathered here gradually dispersed from the huge ruins. Teacher, are we leaving? Zilai also hesitated and said. The 3 generations of Hokage gently stroked the broken stone platform, looked at the deserted and desolate venue, and sighed faintly, saying, Jiraiya, am I thinking too simple? It's too ridiculous to let a person who is determined to win, return the tailed beast, and let a group of ambitious rulers keep their peace. Having said that, the 3 generations of Hokage looked back at Jiraiya and said, I want to know what was written on the scroll that Gyuugia finally sent back, and why didn't they come back in person to return to life? Jiraiya's expression changed slightly, and he subconsciously clenched the scroll around his waist. After a few seconds, he smiled bitterly and said, Teacher, it's not that I don't want to tell you, it's just that there is only one sentence on the scroll. Spoke, Jiraiya took out the scroll with his backhand and handed it to the 3rd Hokage. When the wrinkled scroll was slowly opened, the clear and simple words above came into view first. Sorry, we don't have the courage to fight against God. Inexplicable words, but there is endless apology between the lines. Fell into the eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage, and while his pupils contracted suddenly, he sighed again and said, Jiraiya, prepare those things for me. Teacher, are you going to use that means? Zilai's expression suddenly changed. In his eyes, it was a taboo method. Otherwise, Orochimaru would not have to be expelled from Konoha Ninja Village. Alas! Of Hokage sighed faintly and said, in extraordinary times, we can only use extraordinary means. Uchiha Ryu's growth rate is too fast. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't want to admit that he's already stronger than me. There is only that trick that can fight against it. After all, the gap between us and our ancestors is getting bigger and bigger. If time is in the long future, there will be another Uchiha Dragon Feather-like existence, what we can do. And only this one. What's more, everything has good and evil. As long as the person who uses it has a heart for kindness, for the safety of the ninja world, how can that little thing be measured? Looking at the 3 generations of fire that have already made up their minds. Lai also fell into a dull and speechless retort. Just like the 3 generations of Hokage, everything uses the side of good and evil. But for all this, Jiraiya just hoped that everything he did was right. Konoha Ninja Village, accompanied by Uchiha Ryu's strong return. Wounded the 4th Raikage. After the news of the Five Shadows conference was overturned, the huge Konoha Ninja Village has become unusually quiet. The shadow of martial law could be vaguely seen around, even the Uchiha clan was no exception. Although, the Uchiha clan still stayed in the original station. However, because of Uchiha Ryu, of Uchiha Fuyu, the status of the Uchiha family has gradually risen. According to normal times, the garrison's camp is dark in the dark, giving people an unusually drowsy feeling. However, today looks a little different. Along the way, the street lights of Buluo have already been turned on, and there is still a figure at the entrance, as if it has been waiting for a long time. When I saw the appearance of Long Yu, I was not surprised at all. "You're back," Uchiha Shisui said lightly. "Uncle, they have been waiting for you for a long time." A hint of helplessness flashed across Long Yu's well-defined cheeks. "You are still the same, there is no change in the slightest. Sometimes you don't need to take too much responsibility for many things, otherwise it will change your taste if you go too far." Uchiha Shisui's face paused for a while, then looked back at Long Yu and said, "You don't understand, you don't have some things, but that doesn't mean we don't have them." This sentence alone is enough to prove that we are just strangers. Looking at Uchiha Shisui with a stubborn face, Long Yu felt like a persistent little boy who was fighting for toys but was defeated. Perhaps, as Uchiha Shisui said, he took the path of Long Yu's abandonment. Insisted on doing it on this road, far exceeding the achievements of Uchiha Ryu. Facing the gaze of Uchiha Zishui, Long Yu smiled casually. "Let's go, you may know later that what is the vision determines the height. Auntie should have the food ready, I'm afraid it will be cold at 1 o'clock in the evening." These words, Uchiha Ryu took the lead and left. Looking at the distant figure, a haze flashed across Uchiha Shisui's face, and after secretly clenching his fists, he quickly followed. Soon as he approached the courtyard, Long Yu saw that figure standing in front of the door. On the cheek with the national character, the wrinkles on the forehead are wrinkled into the Sichuan character. Hands, leaned his back against the edge of the door and closed his eyes. After waiting for Long Yu to approach, he slowly opened his eyes and said, "Just come back, let's go in to eat, your aunt has been waiting for you for a long time," she said. "You will definitely come back." "Is it?" Long Yu smiled casually and said, "Fortunately, I brought wine." Speaking, Long Yu raised the wine bottle in his hand. The specially made jade ice simmered in the dim light with a tender white feeling like meat. Uchiha Fuyu was undoubtedly startled. Looking at the wine bottle in Long Yu's hand, his face became more fiery. With that appearance, it was obvious that he could not get rid of what was in this cup. Looking at Uchiha Fuyu, the slightly rolled Adam's apple, Long Yu smiled and patted his shoulder. "Uncle, if you delay any longer, the wine bugs will dig through the bottom of your glass." "Okay, then uncle, let's drink 2 more glasses." Uchiha Fuyu smiled heartily, grabbed Long Yu's shoulder, and couldn't wait to walk quickly to the courtyard. Soon as they approached, the table full of dishes was already ready. Chapter 272, The Gap. However, the surroundings seemed a little deserted. Looking at this extremely bizarre scene, Long Yu smiled casually and took the lead in sitting down. After taking out the wine glass with his backhand and filling it up, he pushed a glass to Uchiha Fuyu and said, "Hungman Banquet, don't mind having 2 glasses. You are still as smart as ever, why did you guess the result long ago, and why did you come back?" Uchiha Fuyu took the wine glass, raised his head and drank the jade ice. "I have to say that this drink is like suet and white jade, and the spicy taste at the entrance makes Uchiha Fuyu, a kind of feeling, the throat is burning, and the feeling is straight into the belly. Good wine." Uchiha Fuyu held the wine glass and slammed it on the table, with a hint of apology on his face. All around, the sound of breaking the air suddenly echoed, turning over in the dark night and landing around. The pair of scarlet red looks extremely terrifying in the dark night. Long Yu drank the wine in the glass with his own discretion, looked at the scenery in the courtyard, and couldn't help but smile and said, "It seems that everyone is almost here. You ask me why I know that there are tigers in the mountains and they tend to travel in the mountains. That's because the ruler wants the subject to die, and the subject has to die. I'm here just to give you an explanation and a chance to explain it to you." Having said that, Long Yu put down the wine glass in his hand, patted the dust on his body, and stood up and said, "It's a pity that you are too impatient and spoil your elegance. Are you going to go up one by one, or go up together?" Small voices echoed in the courtyard. There was an inexplicable feeling of depression between the lines, as if it was filled with a magic sound. Gives people a kind of feeling of indecision. Uchiha Shisui, who was staring at him in the distance, couldn't help but change slightly. However, he secretly clenched his fists and subconsciously looked at Uchiha Fugaku. According to their plan, he was the last preset part. After all, Uchiha Shisui's external claim is to use the hypnotic eye to change Uchiha Ryu's slightest way. Even Uchiha Fuyu firmly believes that all this is true, but he does not know that once all these so-called plans are successful, Rao is Uchiha Longyu, even if he has godlike means. It will only become a slave to his subordinates. Thinking of this, Rao is Uchiha Shisui, who has always been cold-hearted, and he can't help but reveal a trace of inexplicable urgency. It's a good saying that if the ruler wants the minister to die, the minister has to die. Uchiha Fuyu's eyes were like torches, and he said in a deep voice. However, this time, we are just for your own good. As long as you obey my arrangement, not only Konoha Shinobi Village will accept you again, you can also become the new head of the Uchiha clan. Looking at the huge ninja world, this isn't it better than being a traitor? Speaking of the end, Uchiha Fuyu's eyes were burning, looking directly at Long Yu. However, these words full of temptation fell into the ears of Uchiha Shisui, but made his face climb a trace of grimness. The clenched fists and the sharp nails were even more deeply embedded in the flesh palms. This is what he wants, but people give it away. This is the gap. However, when he thought that all this would be something, Uchiha Shisui felt a little inexplicable in his heart. It's a sense of scheming. Tao is different, not conspiracy, let's do it. Long Yu said lightly. Okay, it seems that you are still obsessed. Uchiha Fugaku's voice gradually cooled down. The next moment, his right hand suddenly pressed down. Go. Whoosh whoosh. The sound of breaking the air suddenly sounded. Of the Uchiha clan from all directions immediately started. Facing this boy who is known as the Uchiha clan, who is closest to the legend. They didn't dare to get close, and the tasks they received were only to cover and carry out harassment warfare. The sky is full of kuupo and the air is attacking, and the distance of more than 10 meters is only approaching in the blink of an eye. However, in the face of all this, Long Yu seemed to be ignorant. The blood in the pupil gushed out like a tidal wave, occupying the entire pupil in the blink of an eye. The scarlet pupil power exploded in an instant, and he turned into a huge Susanoo tens of meters under his body. Dang dang! Susanoo fell on Susanoo in the sky, and like the rain hitting a banana, a large piece of sparks splattered. However, watching this scene, Uchiha Fuyu's eyes suddenly condensed, and the kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes quickly emerged. The next moment, it was like a wheel spinning like crazy. Om! The humming sound of a trace of air sounded without warning. Immediately, a space crack opened in front of Long Yu. The violent scene caused Long Yu to raise his brows. Regardless of is in the original book, or the current Uchiha Fugaku, the pupil technique possessed as a mystery. This move was obviously in the last fight and did not appear. However, it is similar to the space-time ninjutsu mastered by Long Yu. The moment the crack appeared, Uchiha Shisui flashed out like a ghost. Because, this space is open directly in Susanoo's body. Therefore, as soon as Uchiha Shisui appeared, it was only a short distance away from Long Yu. appeared, he reached out and clasped Long Yu's shoulders, roaring with a hideous face. "Ha, Uchiha Ryu, aren't you very powerful? This time, you haven't been hit. We are very clear about your fighting habits. To maintain the moment of Susanoo, you must open your eyes, and I will aim at this moment and make you my slave completely." Uchiha Shisui laughed frantically. The rolling and scattered voices made Uchiha Fuyu's face suddenly change, and he roared in a hurry, "Zishui, what are you hiding from me?" In Fuyu's eyes, he values Uchiha Ryu, the legend of the Uchiha clan in the new era. He teamed up with Uchiha Shisui in order to fiddle with the dragon feather in his eyes, anyway. Use Uchiha Shisui's hypnotizing eyes to change Long Yu's way of thinking. Completely become a good boy-like existence. The slogan is everything for the family, everything for the ninja village. However, now Uchiha Shisui actually intends to turn Long Yu into his slave. The gap between before and after is too big. Pity that it's too late. Uchiha Fuyu wants to use the technique of time and space to transfer Uchiha Shisui. The only thing he could do was to watch Uchiha Shisui with his madly twisted expression. However, this idea just popped into my mind. The next moment, the first scene that came into view, and the slightly playful words that fell in their ears, subverted their cognition. "I've been waiting for your other god for too long. Do you really think that you know everything about me well?" Long Yu spoke calmly. Uchiha Zishui's expression stagnated for a while, and he was the first to catch his eye, but it was the 9-hook jade kaleidoscope writing wheel eye, Scarlet Blood, which rolled back like a tide. A circle of strange patterns bloomed, instantly giving people a horrified whiteness. Chapter 273, A Look. If they remember correctly, this extremely strange eye. But I met at the venue during the day, the legendary Samsara eye. However, what made them even more appalling was that the reincarnation eye in front of them turned out to be transformed from a kaleidoscope writing wheel eye. This means that the kaleidoscope is not the limit of their Uchiha family. Uchiha Ryu has always been hiding his strength. Illusion rebound. The indifferent and tidal voices rolled back like a hurricane. The moment when Shisui Uchiha and Ryu met each other's eyes. Not only does it take time to prepare, but once it is activated, it cannot be stopped. Therefore, in the face of the reincarnation eye, the moment changes, and there is a mirror-like reflection. The other gods that were originally activated were instantly imprinted in Uchiha Shisui's eyes. "Ah!" Uchiha Shisui screamed. He couldn't help holding his head and fell to the ground. When he was casting the other gods, he was hit by the illusion rebound. Long Yu didn't know if Zishui would become his own slave, as implied in his spell. Was forcibly interrupted in the process of casting. This kind of impact on the spiritual space is very big. Uchiha Shisui is proficient in illusion, and the consciousness space is alternative and powerful. However, he had to lie down for at least 7 or 8 days before he could wake up. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. Falling in the eyes of those Uchiha clan members who attacked, while the pupils suddenly contracted, their hearts were filled with disbelief, and they quickly pulled away and retreated. In their eyes, even Uchiha Shisui, who is known as the second-day genius of the Uchiha clan, could not resist Long Yu's gaze. Not to mention them. For a time, the huge courtyard became chickens flying and dogs walking. The figure that swept out violently, intending to escape this terrifying place first. However, the idea just sprouted in their minds. The next moment, the indifferent and tidal voice of the words, but then swallowed out. Vientian Tianian. The simple 4 characters fell, and there was a stagnation in the air circulating around. No, it should be said, together with those figures fleeing frantically, at this moment, it seems to be frozen in midair. The next moment, as if being pulled by an invisible big hand, it was suddenly pulled back. "Don't!" A scream resounded suddenly. Just like the Chia Aikichung member who is frozen in midair, there will be no bells and whistles in the next moment. Under Long Yu's 5 fingers suddenly clenched, one after another figure flew back in response to the sound. More than 20 Uchiha clan members, when they fell to the ground, subconsciously looked at Long Yu. Pity that the eyes of reincarnation are as white as tides. Long Yu's pupils shrank suddenly, and under the tyrannical pupil power pouring out, the expressions of the people who were still startled at first glance froze. Suddenly passed out. Looking at the complicated scene, there are only 7 or 8 in the front and back. Uchiha Fugaku, who witnessed all of this, changed his expression slightly, and finally sighed. You are still as usual, and it seems that you don't need to worry about your battle in 3 days. Come on. The voice dissipated, Uchiha Fugaku's kaleidoscope writing wheel eyes dissipated like a tide. Immediately, without any hesitation, he met Uchiha Ryu's gaze. Take a break. Long Yu replied indifferently, and his samsara eyes turned in vain. Uchiha Fuyu's expression was stagnant, and he lost it immediately. Feeling conscious, he fell to the ground. Obito, I'll leave it to you next. Long Yu's eyes suddenly turned. Soon I saw that a whirlpool appeared directly on the pool not far away. Then I saw a figure emerge from it, in Long Yu's helpless white eyes. Straight into the pool. Ah, I'm sorry, I haven't been able to control the position of the fixed point in space. Crawled out of the pool with a dread. Looking at the wet Obito, I still can't compliment the tail of the crane after hanging up. However, at the moment, the main fighting force of the Uchiha clan has basically been brought down by him. To avoid someone taking advantage of it, at least one person needs to take care of it. Boss, I heard that after 3 days, you plan to single out the entire ninja world. Do you need me to take action? Itachi, the old entanglement, just spent a lot of effort to get him out of the way. Uchiha walked up to Shisui with a displeased feeling. This guy looks very cold on weekdays. He didn't expect to be so crazy. If I didn't want to keep a low profile, it wouldn't be me on the first or second day. Obito touched the back of his head and said with a smile. The only thing that makes Long Yu feel fortunate is that Obito didn't take the opportunity to kick Uchiha Shisui twice. Otherwise, wake up with a series of who am I, where am I, and who kicked me. This made Long Yu lay down and get shot. Okay, don't be too modest, it's good to cultivate your talent well, don't lose to Kakashi. Long Yu smiled and patted Obito's shoulder. I'm afraid I'll be leaving this place soon. The next day's reputation will fall on you, don't fall. Leave this place. Obito was stunned for a moment and said, Boss, don't you have space ninjutsu sometimes? Don't you go to other places with a swipe? Why, to make things so serious, the big deal is that I will be the second child of the millennium, and the first will be given to the boss. Okay, this world is very big, and you have your own path to take. In the future, you will find that there are more powerful enemies waiting for you, and we will meet you next time. I hope you become Hokage sooner than Kakashi. Long Yu smiled and patted Obito's head. If the fire fan in the original book knew that this big man was regarded as a little fan, he would not know what his expression would be. However, Long Yu vaguely remembered that Obito also had a dream of being a Hokage during the reading of the Infinite Moon. Boss, I don't want to be Hokage now, I want to be a rebel like you who comes and goes freely. Obito hurriedly defended. And did not continue to entangle with Obito. Otherwise, according to this rhythm, I am afraid that it will be directly doubled. Roar. A low roar burst like thunder. A tyrannical wave of air rolled back like a frenzy. Rolled and dispersed, forming a passing hurricane, and an unusually fierce tear broke out. Boss, what the hell happened? Uchiha Obito's face changed dramatically. Looking at the sky in the distance, the first thing I saw was a sky that seemed to be dyed red by blood. A scarlet aura shot straight into the 9 heavens. This breath is full of disaster and evil, and the breath is too large. The earthy look is a little whitish. He is not. In the original book, under the training of Heiju, he was blackened. Right now, he is at most just the tail of a hanging crane. Chapter 274, Nine-Tailed Runaway. Facing the aura from the tailed beast in front of him, it was obviously a bit difficult to bear. It's the nine-tailed guy, and he's still restless. Two-tailed cats emerged from Long Yu's cloak again. After the cat nose sniffed the air vigorously, he said with certainty. The nine-tails run away. Uchiha Obito was startled for a while. As a disciple of the fourth generation of Hokage Wave-Wind Minato, he certainly knew exactly who Zuri of this generation was. Known as a red pepper-like existence in Konoha Ninja Village. Moreover, having a Swirl Clan fairy body, that is the best carrier of tailed beasts. This is not the kind of Naruto Uzumaki the half-hearted Uzumaki clansman can compare. That is the first generation of the nine-tailed people of Konoha Ninja Village, the Vortex Mito, and it is the bloodline of the pure-blooded Vortex family. Activated the immortal human body and the diamond blockade, etc. The talents of the Vortex family. In suppressing the tailed beast, he has enough confidence. However, under this premise, the nine tails went berserk. This was beyond Long Yu's expectations. Dragon Feather. Uchiha Makoto's voice came from behind them. Seeing the sudden appearance of Uchiha Makoto, who was pregnant with Roko, and Uchiha Itachi, who was next to her, and said, "Auntie, they just passed out and will recover in a few days. Obito will report this matter in person. In a coma for a few days." Uchiha Makoto was stunned, her hands clenched slightly, and said, "Thank you for your hard work, but now the nine tails are running wild for no reason, and guarding the safety of Konoha Ninja Village was originally the task of our Uchiha clan guards, but they now." Speaking of which, Uchiha Makoto's face showed a hint of hope. "If possible, I hope you can help them when they are in crisis. After all, you were once a member of this village." "Got it," Long Yu replied. After glancing at Uchiha Itachi, who was hesitant to say anything, he said, "You are also a ninja on your own, and I will leave it to you and Obito. I will go first." "Brother." Uchiha Itachi suddenly panicked. However, he soon saw Long Yu's body, as if it was directly pulled in by an invisible vortex. Disappeared in place. Konoha Ninja Village, located on the ruins of the venue in the western suburbs. As huge as a hill straddles the forest and ruins. Jugiao rose into the sky, and the scarlet tail rolled up and down in the void, as if it were stirring the sky in all directions. Claws stepped on the wreckage of various buildings, the blood moon-like eyes stared down, and the slightly cracked blood-pot mouth revealed sharp teeth like a spear. A drop of saliva-like acid dripped down the gap between the teeth, and finally hit the ground below. Who were sizzling like a scorching fire, quickly gathered in all directions, stopped one after another at a distance of 1,000 meters. In the face of this so-called nine-tailed beast, the most beast. Even if they have the title of Shangnin, they would not dare to approach it rashly. To suppress the runaway nine tails, the only thing that can work. There are only some special ninja combinations, maybe powerful individual ninjas. Sir Jiraiya. Nara Shikahisa is carrying a group of ninjas to evacuate the crowd. Looking at the figure descending from the sky, he looked happy and quickly relieved. Nara family is proficient in shadow binding, an invisible means of confinement. However, it is also clear what is within your means. The minds of the Nara clan are outstanding, but it does not mean that they are real. Strength is also excellent. If you want them to block the runaway nine tails, each will hold one toe. I am afraid that it will take dozens, or even hundreds of clansmen to do it. What happened? Why did the nine tails go berserk? Wasn't there a suppression by Kushina? Also fell. He rolled his eyes and said, "Don't look at me like this, the nine tails run wild, that's a big deal. After all, the current nine tails is not the half of Naruto Uzumaki in the original book. The one in front of him is a complete body, with the strength, chakra, and the level of evil and fierce tears. Not. It's as simple as 1 + 1. However, in the hands of the Uzumaki clan, who are known as the best at sealing in the ninja world, awakening the Vajra blockade with the most basic bloodline is still appropriate. There have been no major problems. Haiichi has already gone to contact the 3 generations of Hokage. As for Mizuno-sama, I haven't been contacted for a while. Nara Shikahisa smiled helplessly. Although he already knew that Sanin's sense of responsibility is very low, his favorite is to be the hand-dragging shopkeeper. However, I didn't think about it at all, and Jirai also dropped the chain at this juncture. Seeing that chakra full of evil tears came out through the body, that huge body like a hill. Once the 9 tails are allowed to break into the Konoha shinobi village, let alone the destruction. That fighting will also make them tied. Once the aftermath of the 9 tails attack spreads, most of the buildings in the village will probably be destroyed. Luju, the people nearby have been evacuated to the vicinity. I am glad that I found it in time and stopped Juwei outside this ruined meeting place. Otherwise, it would be unimaginable to let it break into the center of the village. Yamanaka Kaiichi also came with the elite of their family. In addition, there are the clansmen led by Chu Doudingzo. It can be said that the arrival of the 3 major clans also means that the special combination of pigs, deer and butterflies will be assembled for the first time. It is also in Konoha Ninja Village, except for a very few top ninjas. An existence that can slightly compete with tailed beasts. The 3 generations of Hokage-sama are coming. Hokage-sama has given an order, no matter what means are used, the tailed beasts must be stopped from here. Chu Doudingzo said in a deep voice. Zilai also touched the tip of his nose helplessly, and said, it seems that the teacher intends to spare some energy to deal with the sudden change. It seems that my bones need to be loosened. Hehe. Lord Jiraiya help, we should be able to easily suppress the tailed beast. Nara Shikahisa's eyes lit up, and he was about to open his mouth to talk about a battle plan. The next moment, the sound of breaking the air from a distance tightened their nerves. The art of fire escape how fireball. A figure of Chunin who swooped in quickly, but his shivering heels had not yet stood firm. In an instant, it attracted the eyes of the 9 tails that were filled with tears. This look made this Chunin fall to the ground with a thud. The trembling hands quickly flipped, forming a series of spells. Fireball with a diameter of only 3 or 4 meters smashed straight towards the 9 tails. Watching, the fireball that was rapidly expanding in the pupil landed in the eyes of Juwei, and this riding on the horse was the provocation of Kai Guago. Roar! The bloody mouth with the fangs protruding suddenly opened, and the fishy wind it brought up was like a hurricane, which directly extinguished the fireball. Even some trees were forcibly overturned. No, don't kill me. Chunin's expression turned pale all of a sudden. He didn't have time to think about it. He hurriedly kicked his feet, trying to withdraw and retreat. Chapter 275, 9-Tailed Madness. However, these actions fell into the eyes of the 9 tails, and it was like a silent provocation. Without any hesitation, the 4 claws slammed towards the ground, and rushed straight towards the Chunin open mouth in front of him. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. They can't wait to kick this Chunin to death. Don't mess with anything, run to hit the tailed beast with a small fireball, this is a dead end. However, before they could react, a figure charged straight away with an awe-inspiring sound of breaking through the air. The technique of the lion's hair. Jiraiya's cold shout suddenly sounded. The long silver hair shot out as fast as a horse, and like an octopus, it wrapped directly around the body of 9 tails. That had been biting down with all his might was instantly pulled into the air by Jiraiya. Roar! The 9 tails, which were tied into half a zongzi, roared up to the sky. That was almost sent into his mouth, he was frantically struggling. Let's go quickly, I've reached the limit, you can quickly borrow your strength. Zilai also blushed and roared anxiously. Chunin, who was already so frightened that he wet his pants, didn't have time to think about it, and quickly pulled away and retreated. Bang! The messy lion's hair shattered in response, and it turned into a large white mist and rolled back. Who had lost their restraints, were more like a lion stepping out of the gate, full of ferocious blood-colored eyes, instantly locked on Jiraiya's body, and opened his mouth to bite. The technique of maximum doubling. White fog rolled back, and two big hands came out directly through the void. The rolling air waves rolled back down. A huge body appeared and grabbed Juwei by the waist. Bang! It was a collision that was not too much, and it directly rolled up a large wave of air. The huge impact force made Chu Doubtingzhou suddenly retreat 7 or 8 steps. Hi yi, we also shot. Ding Seed alone can't stop the Nine Tails. Nara Shikaku roared in a hurry. As teammates for many years, the two already have a wealth of cooperation experience. His hands fluttered, forming a series of magic seals, and roared loudly. Shadow Multiple Binding Technique. The technique of shadow multiple restraint. One after another violent shouts came out one after another. Under the leadership of Nara Shikahisa, they all stormed out. Shadow, like tentacles, quickly wrapped around Kyuubi's body. Yamanaka Kaiichi didn't sit still, his hands quickly flipped, forming a series of magic seals. Heart-turning technique. Yamanaka Haii closed his eyes, and with the help of ninjutsu, his soul quickly rushed to the consciousness space of the Nine Tails. However, as soon as he entered the consciousness of the Nine Tails, a feeling of darkness, dampness and coldness hit him like a frenzy. Before Yamanaka Haii reacted, he pulled away and retreated, a pair of blood-colored eyes opened. Roar. A roar like thunder, a feeling that hits the soul. The huge mental shock made Yamanaka Haiichi's entire consciousness suddenly dissipated. The whole soul will roll backwards and rush directly back into the space of his own consciousness. PFF'd. As soon as Yamanaka Hai opened his eyes, he opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, his face was pale, and he fell to the ground. Hai. Nara Shikahisa's expression changed drastically. It was the first time he had seen Kaiichi Yamanaka suffer such a powerful backlash. Don't worry, I'm fine, I just didn't expect the tailed beast's consciousness space to be so dark. Yamanaka wiped the blood from his mouth. However, I soon saw that the restrained Nine Tails twisted his head crazily. He stared at Kaiichi Yamanaka with disdain. That iron whip-like tail suddenly flipped, with a stern sound of breaking through the air, and slashed straight down the mountain. The violent scene shook everyone's nerves. At this moment, no matter was Jiraiya, or someone else, the attack was just exhausted, and he couldn't react at all for a moment or 3. Only thing he can do is to watch the attack slash down in the face. The earth escapes the earth and flows into the wall. Boom! The earth roared, and a wall of earth suddenly protruded, directly blocking the tail of Lippy. Bang! The dull collision sound was like a thunder explosion. Gravel, a large gust of wind swept away. 3 Hokage. Yamanaka Haiichi looked at the figure that quickly landed in front of him, and there was a hint of joy on his face. Old man, you are finally back. Jilai also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. I thought you were going to be the shopkeeper. HMPH, you kid, be serious with me, don't make soy sauce here, I'm afraid this nine-tailed runaway is unusual. The third Hokage said in a deep voice. There was a dignified look on Jiraiya's face, and he said, you suspect that this matter has something to do with Uchiha Longyu. He can't be like this. If he really wants to take the nine-tailed, it can be very bright. Don't forget that there are 4 big-tailed beasts on him. You were right. 3 generations of Hokage nodded and said, this time the appearance of the 9 tails, there is no sign of being manipulated by illusion, I think it should have nothing to do with him. The voice of guessing fell, making many ninjas in the field secretly relieved. At the thought of it, the blood-colored Asura Uchiha Longyu. That is the existence of the various ninja villages, and catching the tailed beast is as easy as digging into the bag. During the daytime, it was a single move that severely damaged the 4th Raikage. Although, after the incident, the 4 generations of Raikage threatened that it was because he underestimated the enemy that he suffered. But when I think of that scene, my heart is still awe-inspiring. If this 9-tailed riot is really related to Longyu, for Konoha Ninja Village, it is simply a disaster. Lord Lukisa, you have reached your limit. A sudden cry sounded. It quickly tensed everyone's nerves. Originally, he had used the shadow restraint technique, trying his best to restrain the crowd of Ninetales. Under his blushing cheeks, it was obvious that he had reached the limit. Roar! The roar of the Ninetales ripped apart again, and the huge body broke free from the shadow restraint after surgery. Ninetales wrapped around Chu Doubtingzo like a long whip. Without any fancy, it suddenly tightened. Bang! Multiple giant forces were released, and Chu Doubting's doubling technique exploded in an instant. All restrictions are lifted at once. Ninetales ran wild in an instant, and the huge body suddenly jumped down, rushing down towards the position where the 3 generations of Hokage and others were. Of Uzumaki Kushina, who was a threat to what happened outside in this Konoha ninja village. In its eyes, as long as this hateful old man and the lecherous uncle are killed, those who can stop it in this ninja village will no longer exist. It's good, I'll send you out first. The 3rd Hokage roared. The backhand nibbled on the thumb, the blood spilled out, and the hands flew like wheels. With the last magic seal falling, the 3 generations of Hokage started drinking again. The Art of Psychic Ape King Ape Demon. Chapter 276, All Down. White fog shrouded the sky. As soon as the huge body appeared, the 3 generations of Hokage drank again and again. Ruyi Golden Hoop Stick. As soon as the Ruyi stick appeared, it was caught by the 3 generations of Hokage. The next moment, without any bells and whistles, the moment when both hands were held by his side. The diamond stick made a stern sound of breaking through the air, and went straight to the chest of the Ninetales who jumped down from the sky. Bang! The dull collision sound suddenly sounded, and the huge body of the Ninetales was directly pushed into the air. Accompanied by the rapid extension of the wish-fulfilling stick, the huge body of the Ninetales quickly flew backwards under the eyes of the public. Boom! It flew a kilometer or 2, and the Ninetales smashed into a barren forest. The huge impact force directly crushed and smashed the trees in the radius, and rolled up a large piece of sand and dust into the sky. The next moment, Jiraiya and the others hurried over to see Ninetales, who turned over again, as if he was not injured at all. There was a dignified look on the faces of many people. Haiichi, have you found Minato? What happened to Kushina? 3 generations of Hokage said in a deep voice. If there is no human pillar force carrier, it will be too difficult to reseal the Ninetales. The relationship between Konoha and the Vortex family is very strong, and they also have a lot of sealing techniques. However, to seal the sealing technique of the tailed beast, each one does not have many restrictions and conditions. To reseal the Ninetales, the sealing technique required is equally difficult and expensive. Now the 4th Hokage is not there, and the Uzumaki Kushina, who is the main force, doesn't know where. Is obviously too difficult to solve the riot of the tailed beast in front of him. By the way, where are the guards of the Uchiha clan, and where are Fuyu and Shisui? 3 Hokage asked eagerly. As soon as these words came out, everyone couldn't help but froze in place. The movement of the Ninetales was so loud that even if they fell asleep, they would be woken up, not to mention the Uchiha clan who were in charge of Konoha's guard. Now a single elite has not appeared, which is too intriguing. I'm sorry, they were all brought down by me. It's Uchiha Ryu. I don't know who exclaimed. The atmosphere in the field changed instantly, and everyone's eyes swept away. A black-red cloud robe walking slowly, his nerves suddenly tightened. Now the nine-tailed riot, Uchiha Ryujuin's appearance on this occasion obviously gives people an intriguing feeling. Uchiha Ryu, you mean, this matter has something to do with you? Nara Shikahisa was the first to speak. However, this statement is very meaningful. It's a bit clear that it's the Konoha guard or the Nine Tails runaway. After all, this is no ordinary person. If he is wrong, he will be offended. Throwing 2 forbidden spells at random, don't Kyuubi still haven't raised his spirits? I'm afraid this has already made them suffer. Lu Ju, don't use your cleverness on me. Long Yu glanced at Nara Shikahisa indifferently, which made him shudder uncontrollably, and suddenly smiled bitterly. For all this, Long Yu didn't take it to heart. After looking at the 3 generations of Hokage and Jiraiya, he then crossed the crowd and met the gaze of the 9 Tails. The people of the Uchiha clan were all brought down by me. Since I made them unable to perform their duties, let me take the shift once. Long Yu slowly came out of the crowd. This time, if it weren't for the care of Uchiha Fuyuke in the past. There was also a request from his aunt, Uchiha Makoto, and he didn't want to meddle in his own business. But this action instantly attracted everyone's attention. However, the words just now fell into the ears of the 3 generations of Hokage and Jiraiya, but their expressions changed slightly. Unlike others, they know it well. Uchiha Fuyu once proposed that the water-stopping kaleidoscope writing wheel has a powerful hypnotic suggestion ability. To a certain extent, it can change a person's will and way of thinking. It is precisely for this reason that Uchiha Fuyu once proposed to let Uchiha stop the water, look for opportunities at the venue, and take action against Uchiha Ryu. Pity that Long Yu's buttocks and stool have not been in close contact with each other at the venue. Not to mention, creating opportunities for Uchiha Shisui to use hypnotic eyes. Originally, the 3 generations of Hokage and Jiraiya also thought that this matter would be over. Never thought it would still happen. However, the only thing I feel fortunate about is that Uchiha Long Yu used the word to bring down, not to kill all. 3 Hokage-sama, what should we do now? Chu Dao Dingzuo couldn't help but glanced at the figure that crossed them and hurriedly asked. After all, just dealing with the 9 Tails runaway has already made them devastated. If you have to worry all the time, Uchiha Ryu will cause trouble. That would be tied. No need, he just said that he is here to replace the Uchiha family. With his character, he will not go back on his word. The 3rd Hokage said in a deep voice. In his hand, he turned into a wish-fulfilling ape demon. It also turned into a white mist in response to the sound, and re-emerged its body. Looking at that thin figure, I couldn't help but say, Sarutobi, is this what you say? Which one is amazing, the little devil? Looking at him, he seems too young. Are you scaring me, Sarutobi? Hee, ape demon, even if you look at it, this kid challenges the existence of the 5 great ninja villages alone. The 3 generations of Hokage laughed dryly, his eyes turned in vain, and he said in a deep voice, Hi-yi, pass my order, all the people stationed in all parties quickly evacuate the battlefield, and hand over the 9 Tails to Uchiha Ryu. Let them see clearly what kind of battle this is, and it may end soon. Having said that, the eyes of the 3 generations of Hokage looking at Long Yu's back flashed. When Yamanaka Hai heard the words, his face changed slightly. To a betrayal is a bit of a waste of time. However, in the face of the order of the 3rd Hokage, he did not dare to disobey, and his hands flew quickly, forming a series of spells. Heart grid was set up, the order was quickly sent out. What? Uchiha Ryu is here, and the 3 generations of Hokage let him fight the 9 Tails alone. What the hell is going on? Can he really handle it alone? Idiot, that was in the past. The heroes of our Konoha Shinobi village, Bloody Asura, Uchiha Ryu, wipe your eyes a little, this battle will end soon. Cold rebuke suddenly came, and the faces of the Konoha ninjas who obeyed the order to retreat suddenly changed slightly. As Konoha ninja, go and speak for a renegade ninja. This is an outrageous thing. However, after seeing clearly, the speaker turned out to be the new genius Hitaki Kakashi. Many people were silent. Okay, you haven't had any missions with Uchiha Ryu, and you haven't played against him. You've heard rumors about his strength, but Kakashi is right, this battle will end soon, it might just be a moment. Yuhi Jinhong suddenly spoke up. As an old senior, the convincing power of words is not small. Chapter 277. 9 Tails defeated. The scene suddenly quieted down. Yuhi Mahong pulled enough distance and stopped, the people present also stopped and looked towards Long Yu. The sudden scene, not only Konoha and the other ninjas were alarmed. The Kyuubi, who had smashed hard on the ground and was still dazed, sensed something was wrong. The huge body, all muscles tensed, jumped up suddenly on the ground. He opened his mouth and let out a deafening roar. He rushed towards the person closest to him. After being detained for so long, it is rare to come out once. Of course, Ninetales needs to make a lot of trouble, in its eyes. As long as there is a person in front of him, he will be directly torn to pieces. For him to vent his anger. However, this idea just sprouted in Ninetales' mind. The next moment he entered the scene, his pupils shrunk suddenly. That thin figure suddenly raised his head, revealing a well-defined cheek. Those black and white eyes rolled in vain. The scarlet-like blood quickly rolled back, and the moment the 9 jade hooks appeared, the pupils of the Ninetales quickly enlarged. At this moment, there was a loud roaring noise in its mind, and the only thing that remained was the scene of meeting Uchiha Madara that day. If it is said that as the head of the 9-tailed beasts, the sound of beasts is infinite, and how much glory has there been. But it also has a lot of dark history. If I had to say which one it was, in addition to touching the wooden man's head and killing it, he was killed by Madara Uchiha. In front of him looks different from Madara Uchiha. However, it was even more oppressive to Juwei, especially the kaleidoscope writing wheel I composed of 9-hook jade, which made Juwei's heart suddenly tighten. Hurriedly looked away to avoid the nightmare of the day from reappearing. Monthly reading. The simple words were spit out in Long Yu's mouth. The next moment, Long Yu's eyes suddenly stared, and the tyrannical pupil power, like a raging wave, rushed straight into the consciousness space of the Ninetales. Boom! Kyuubi was about to look away, but it was too late. Was originally filled with anger, fierce tears, darkness and other negative emotions. In an instant, a turbulent wave broke out. Of an outsider fell in front of its consciousness. Looking at this uninvited guest, the Ninetales opened their mouths to bite at the same time. The scene of entering the target made it even more horrified, showing an expression of disbelief on his face. No, no, it's impossible for you to have these eyes. You, who are you? The hysterical roar, like rolling thunder, shook the entire sea of consciousness. However, in the face of all this, the response was still the pair of eyes that penetrated like a god and a demon, like a brand, engraved in its mind lingering. Outside, when the Ninetales sea of consciousness set off a stormy sea. The ninjas' onlookers locked their eyes on the Ninetales that Long Yu rushed towards. That it brought up was also unusual, with the appearance of fierce tears roaring with cracked teeth. With a dash of courage. It really made a lot of people's nerves tense. Especially the 3 generations of Hokage, personally through Yamanaka Kaiichi, reminded them a word. Look carefully, the battle will end soon. As a junior, it is fortunate to be able to get such an evaluation from Hokage. But as a famous betrayal and forbearance title, it is worth seeing. After all, the deeds that have been heard from hearsay are not as good as what you have seen with your own eyes. After the mission is over for a while, I can at least hold my own woman and brag about the last meal. I saw that just now. Instead of saying, I heard someone say the confidence of the spitting star, but it was completely different. However, this urgent idea just sprouted in everyone's mind. The next moment, they saw Ninetales' expression dull. The grinning and snarling posture was changed to a silly dog drooling with crooked tongue. That precise leap was even more of a loss of purpose. After crossing the sky above Uchiha Ryu, Jirai, who had not left the battlefield due to his good strength, was also smashed into the air by others. The sudden scene made the 3 generations of Hokage's expression stagnate, and hurriedly met Juwei's eyes, and the whole person's expression changed drastically. Hurry up and retreat, the Ninetales have been defeated, it has been hit by the illusion of Uchiha Ryu. The old roar exploded like thunder. Fell into the ears of everyone, it was even more stunned. This is too fast in their eyes, faster than that fast shooter. I didn't even get a chance to say whether it started. They told them it was over. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would never have believed it, but it was true. At the same time, they are also a little distressed, if they go back and brag to their mother-in-law. Kyuubi was stunned and killed. I'm afraid there will be a meal, rolling eyes. Who would believe this riding horse? It was still just a moment ago, Ninetales in Konoha Ninja Village. In front of Uchiha Ryu, he behaved so unbearably. Bang! The body of the behemoth smashed down from the sky. The huge impact made the earth roar and shake, and the sand and dust rolled down. The huge body of the Ninetales, like a dead dog, fell to the ground and did not move. Hastily withdrawn and retreated, the 3 generations of Hokage and others who fell around, looked a little blue at the scene in front of them. Not long ago, the ferocious-tailed beast that made them work hard to stop them is now acting like a child's play. The gap between the front and the back is too big. Sarutobi, it seems that I still underestimated him. Ape Demon was the first to lose his temper. But I'm a little fortunate in my heart, this is not the first time we meet. Otherwise, it may not be able to escape the fate of the dead dog with 9 tails. 3 Hokage-sama, do we now need to block Uchiha Ryu and take Kyuubi away? Nara Shikahisa suddenly spoke up. They were fascinated by the Ninetales rampage from the beginning, completely forgetting the most important thing. This time, Uchiha Ryu and the 5 great ninja villages fought to snatch the remaining 5-tailed beasts. If it is said, it was originally to hold the 2 sides and let the 9 tails consume a little, Uchiha Ryu's physical strength. In front of him obviously made this idea go to waste. No, I'm sure that kid won't go back on his word. He was also the first to speak. Figure, he quickly walked towards Long Yu and stormed away. Jiraiya adults. Chu Daoding Zuo's expression changed and he hurriedly opened his mouth. However, he was quickly stopped by the 3rd Hokage waving his hand. Let him go. To find out what Uchiha Longyu thinks, at least one person is needed to test it. Uchiha Ryu and Jiraiya do have a good deal, he won't attack rashly. Hearing these words, many people in the field were startled for a while. Haha, Long Yu, have the 9 tails solved it? Why don't you take a look at my newly released Intimacy Paradise, the plot in it is quite cool. Chapter 278, Goodbye on the Battlefield. We were almost killed just now. He got close. Zillai was also the first to laugh, but this smile had just emerged. That fell in his ear the next moment made Jiraiya's smile instantly stiff. Can that thing kill people? Long Yu helplessly rolled his eyes at the little yellow book in Zillai's hand and said, don't try this trick. If I really want to take it away, you can't stop it. Let's go and see the situation of Kushina first. Those words behind, Long Yu swayed, and threw himself towards the 9 tails that were smashed to the ground. I can't blame 9 tails for getting into the monthly reading so easily. It's just that the dark Uchiha Madara that year brought too much shadow to it. As soon as he sees Uchiha Ryu's Jugo Jade writing wheel eye, Jue will turn into a startled bird. The moment when the mood fluctuates greatly, but it is the most prone to flaws. Therefore, Long Yu was able to capture the 9-tailed will defense line in an instant and invaded the consciousness space. Indescribable things happened in it. Seeing that his intention was seen through, the smile on Jiraiya's face was gradually replaced by bitterness. Thinking of Long Yu's comment just now, the corner of his mouth couldn't help twitching, and he complained. Can that thing kill people? However, Jiraiya didn't stop there. Uchiha Ryu made it clear that he would not take the opportunity to take away the 9 tails. What happened to the Vortex Kushina, who is the main force, and the missing 4 generations of Hokage Namifung Minato? Still worth pursuing. Thinking of this, Jiraiya hurried towards Uchiha Ryu. Looking at 9 tails, who was madly in tears, now grinned like a dead dog, and crooked his tongue, drooling and passing out on the ground. Looking at it horizontally and vertically, it really looks like the thing in Long Yu's mouth, it really can't kill people. Long Yu, where is Kushina? Jirai also took the lead in asking. After all, on the nine-tailed body, he could not see the trace of Kushina. Don't look at it, Kushina is locked in the body of the nine tails, and I'm breaking the seal now. Moment Long Yu's right hand suddenly probed and pressed on Juwei's head. The 5 fingers of the right hand were suddenly clenched, and he shouted in a cold voice. Solution. Word. The mysterious spell mark quickly spread all over the entire body of the nine tails. Accompanied by a low roaring sound, the huge body like a hill turned into white smoke and dissipated. Red-haired figure appeared in front of Jiraiya. Kushina, are you all right? Minato. He also asked eagerly. Jushinai just got out of the trap, and obviously hasn't recovered yet. Lai Yi was taken aback, his expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly said, it's you who came to find water. However, before the words were finished, Uzumaki Kushina's pupils shrank suddenly. Looking at Uchiha Ryu, he couldn't help but take a half step back. He said anxiously, why are you here? By the way, what did you do to the nine tails just now and where did you take Minato Namaifung? Seeing Uzumaki Kushina, who obviously didn't understand the ins and outs of the matter, Jirai also hurriedly stepped forward to stop it. After seeing the nine tails being killed by a stare, he didn't want to let Uchiha Ryu go berserk at such a juncture. At least, this kind of pain will stay in 3 days and be abused together with the 5 great ninja villages. This is how the mind can be balanced. Teacher Jiraiya, Minato he. Uzumaki Kushina's red lips parted slightly, but was quickly interrupted by Jiraiya shaking his head. The person I want to summon Minato is not the real Long Yu. He was busy attacking the Konoha guard just now. Assault on the Konoha guard. Uzumaki Kushina was stunned. This reason is too bizarre, but, recalling the nine tails that were sealed back into her body just now, it curled up like a puppy, trembling with fright. Looking around the huge battlefield, I am afraid that only Uchiha Ryu can do it. Does this mean that Long Yu has rescued her twice? Yes, just now Long Yu went to the Konoha guard, where the Uchiha clan was stationed, and he came to stop the nine tails. He also acted in lieu of the guard, and he also saved you. He also opened his mouth to explain. However, we don't have the whereabouts of Watergate yet. Tell us everything you know. Yes. Uzumaki Kushina reacted in a trance, and after organizing his memory a little, he said, Minato came to me just now and told me about Uchiha Ryu hunting tailed beasts. He told me that Uchiha Ryu proposed to fight the 5 great ninja villages 3 days later. Having said that, Uzumaki Kushina couldn't help but glance at Long Yu one more time. Hesitantly said, Minato mentioned that in this battle, the 5 big ninja villages have little chance of winning, and the 9-tailed beasts Long Yu are determined to win, but for Renzuli, once the tailed beasts are drawn out of the body, they will wait for death. So, Minato asked me to leave Konoha Ninja Village with him and go to a place no one knows. Hearing this, Long Yu was speechless. This plot is so old-fashioned, and it's still far away, full of those sour love stories. Why do you look like I didn't agree? Uzumaki Kushina was startled, looking at Long Yu and Jiraiya with disgust. No answer, or no chance to answer. Long Yu rolled his eyes and said. Uzumaki Kushina's cheeks couldn't help blushing, she lowered her head slightly and said, I don't have time to refuse. I was about to speak when I saw another Uchiha Ryu appearing on the tree outside the window. Another. Zillai also raised his brows and said, You Whirlpool family are proficient in sealing techniques and perception ninjutsu. Could it be that you haven't noticed something? For a sentient ninja, seeing the identity of the enemy is the most basic thing. Especially like Uzumaki Kushina, a genius from the Uzumaki family. It's better not to make mistakes in such small details. No, when I saw another Uchiha Ryu, I checked inside and out several times, and even Minato concluded that it was a real person. Uzumaki Kushina glanced at Long Yu secretly and said with certainty. Not even your perception can see the clue. He was also startled. In his mind, if so, would it be Long Yu? don't think about it, I know who he is, but that guy can't be identified by ordinary perception methods, only the immortal mode is effective. Uchiha Ryuyu said suddenly. According to that guy's urine, Minato will not be in danger, but if you see him, tell him, don't believe those nonsense, in front of absolute strength, everything is nonsense. Next time, we'll see you on the battlefield. These words, Long Yu turned around and left. Chapter 279, Save the Whirlpool Kushina 3 times. Seeing this scene, Uzumaki Kushina was stunned for a moment, then a hint of urgency appeared on his face, and he quickly stepped forward and said, Long Yu, wait a minute. The sudden scene took him by surprise. Easy to ask God to send God away. Now it is rare that the great God Long Yu has left. Although, I haven't figured it out yet, what Long Yu said just now. But if it was because of other things, Long Yu would be irritated again. But shoot yourself in the foot. Is something wrong? Long Yu glanced back, and the Whirlpool Jushinai who trotted over couldn't help but smiled genially. It's not like your red pepper nickname, I won't eat you if you say it directly. In the original book, Uzumaki Kushina, but a carefree personality, who will fight if he disagrees with each other. Looking around the entire ninja village, only Namikaze Minato can handle this thorn well. Of this little woman at the moment is indeed beyond Long Yu's cognition. Uzumaki Kushina suddenly stopped, and the apology that had been cultivated was instantly gone. After hesitating for a while, in the end he could only stare at Long Yu and said carelessly, I told you to stop, there is only one thing. Thank you for saving my mother, next time I will save you twice. No, 3 times is right. Speaking, Kushina raised her pink fist and smashed it towards Long Yu's chest. It's like a big brother's attitude. You hit me like this, does it mean that I have to pay back the gift? Long Yu couldn't help laughing and said, also, do you really think there is a chance to save me? Uzumaki Kushina was stunned for a moment, then suddenly remembered where she had smashed. Her pretty face flushed, and she quickly drew back her hands to protect her position on the mountain. Just as he was about to step back, he saw 2 fingers that quickly enlarged in his pupils, and finally tapped on Uzumaki Kushina's forehead. Don't worry, you won't die, that's what I said. Ah! The atmosphere of the scene suddenly changed, something was wrong. Everyone knows that Namikaze Minato has always been biased towards Uzumaki Kushina. Now, Long Yu has clearly changed the rhythm of the 2 corners into triangles. What did you say? Uzumaki Kushina also smelled something wrong, covered his forehead and stepped back quickly. Her personality seems to be carefree. However, as the only remaining descendant of the Maelstrom clan, she is still very conservative in her thinking. Hee, nothing, see you next time. Long Yu smiled warmly. Jugoyu's writing wheel eyes turned in vain. Space vortex quickly emerged, quickly covering Yu's body, and finally disappearing into place as a phantom. You haven't made it clear to the old lady, Yuji, you are irresponsible. Uzumaki Kushina rushed towards Long Yu's disappearing figure. However, it directly caught a miss. Footsteps staggered down, almost a dog lying on the ground. Damn it, see you next time. The old lady will definitely hammer him to the death, and she will run away without taking any responsibility. Uzumaki Kushina stomped her feet angrily. However, once I looked back, I realized that the atmosphere in the arena was a bit wrong. The staring gaze made her scalp a little numb. Teacher Jiraiya, are you okay? Uzumaki Kushina couldn't help asking. Although she knew that Jiraiya had always been lecherous, but it was the first time that she wanted to see through her. No, I'm fine, I just want to know, did Long Yu do that to you? Then you won't be yelling at him to hold him accountable. Zilai also took out his notebook and said curiously, I'm just thinking of a triangular story, why don't you give me something exciting, such as how to proceed secretly? I feel good in my heart, and I see your appearance, Minato is unrequited love, Long Yu is a heartless man, you shout to make him responsible. It won't be Long Yu, lurking 17 or 8 years. The story starts because of you. I should now write an autobiography about Scarlet Ashura. I was lurking for that woman for 17 years. This book is absolutely a big seller. Looking at the chatter, Jiraiya was about to draft a draft while biting the pen. Uzumaki Kushina clenched his fists angrily, his red hair moving without wind. Without any bells and whistles, he smashed Jiraiya head-on. However, as soon as the fist came out, a sound of breaking through the air sounded in vain. Minato with blonde hair appeared in front of Jiraiya without warning. Along with the sound of heavy objects hitting, Minato Namikaze flew upside down like a cannonball. Looking at Minato Namikaze smashing into the tree trunk, the strength of this punch, as well as the anger bar, was completely off the charts. Zilai also looked stagnant, and then nodded suddenly. The old god said in the ground, "Sure enough, you and Long Yu have a leg. This punch is powerful, even the strength to hold back the urine is used." You. Uzumaki Kushina exploded with anger. However, this time, it wasn't until her attack figure descended from the sky and landed on their side. "Okay, stop messing around," 3 Hokage said in a deep voice. Who was rubbing his swollen cheeks with a confused look on his face, the 3 generations of Hokage immediately. He gave Jiraiya a wink. "Kushina, what happened?" Namikaze Minato said in confusion. "Tekken has eaten a lot. Which even uses the strength of milking, is really uncomfortable." Nothing happened. Jiraiya also instantly understood the meaning of the 3 generations of Hokage. How to say, Jiraiya has never been in love, but as a writer, I have never seen a pig, and at least I have eaten pork. He clearly knows what is the truth of 0 IQ in love. However, if you let the readers of Affectionate Heaven know that they are respected and regarded as godfathers, they are a first-time brother with 0 love experience. I don't know how to feel. Really, why are your eyes weird? Namikaze Minato frowned and rubbed his cheeks tightly. But as soon as those words fell, there was a burst of unanimous responses. No. Yes, no, not really. Jiraiya hastily patted Minato Namikaze on the shoulder. Subconsciously, he glanced at the top of Minato Namikaze's head. The cuckold is a little taller. Okay, stop messing around here. 3rd Hokage coughed dryly, looked at Minato Namikaze, and said, "Minato, I want to know where you went just now. Also, the person who is suspected of Uchiha Ryayu, have you checked the origin?" These words fell. Minato Namikaze's expression changed suddenly, and he said, "It was Long Yu who shot just now." Sure enough, as that guy said, the tailed beast has no effect on Long Yu at all. Watergate, what did you say? Uzumaki Kushina looked anxious and said, "When the 9 tails ran wild just now, I lost consciousness. What happened?" "Is this about you?" Hysterical voice reverberated in the sky, causing many people's expressions to change slightly. Chapter 280, Uninvited Guest. "Kushina, you misunderstood. Minato Namikaze said in a hurry. After I left, he used other clones to sneak up on you, and when I came back, the 9 tails were already running wild. Later, I was haunted by him, and I couldn't tell the difference. He told me that there was a way to balance Uchiha Ryayu so that he could not take away the tailed beast from your body." "You mean, plan to cooperate with that guy?" Uzumaki Jushinai's expression changed slightly, and said, "Long Yu said when he left just now that you must not believe what that guy said. I hope you don't mess around. Also, Uchiha Long Yu said that he won't let me die, so you don't have to worry." Namikaze Minato's expression froze. It can be said that he and Heiju met, but it was a top-secret matter. However, he never imagined that everything he did was completely broken by Long Yu. "Kushina, Long Yu wants to take the tailed beast from your body. As a human pillar, once the tailed beast is pulled out of your body, it will be a dead end for you." Namikaze Minato said in a hurry, "What I'm doing now is for you." As soon as these words came out, everyone's expressions changed slightly. "Okay, don't quarrel." Now this is a war involving the 5 great ninja villages. Where is the person you mentioned, Minato, and let him meet with our 5 great ninja villages. The third Hokage spoke first. You guys. Uzumaki Kushina looked anxious, but he couldn't reply, so he turned around and left. Kushina. Namikaze Minato let out a hurried cry, but was quickly stopped by Jiraiya. Okay, a man is a big deal. Let's talk about that black thing first. Sooner or later, Uzumaki Kushina will know what you're thinking. Jiraiya also patted Namikaze Minato on the shoulder. Although the comfort from the man is pale and weak, the green hat is also a little tall, but at least there is some comfort in my heart. Watergate, Jiraiya is right. Third Hokage said in a deep voice, you are the 4th Hokage, and you must focus on the overall situation. The teacher is right. This time, Long Yu helped us suppress Juwei's rampage, but next time he will take Juwei away. He also said in a low voice. Although we don't want to be an enemy of him, you should be very clear that this 5 Shadows meeting will be held by our Konoha Ninja Village. If we don't even take the lead, it will be waiting for our Konoha Ninja Village, but it is the scolding of the public. Having said this, Jiraiya also looked around the audience and said, I don't think anyone present is willing to lose, especially in the case of a match against the 5 great ninja villages. If you lose, it would be a shame. What's more, that kid, who is so arrogant to declare war on us, shouldn't want to see a battle that disappoints him. A slightly low-pitched voice, although it did not have the taste of enthusiasm and generosity. But it penetrated directly into the soul of people, making the expressions of the people present suddenly change. Jiraiya is right, even if we lose, we have to lose decently. The third Hokage said in a deep voice. However, there is no battle yet. Who can say that we will lose without a doubt? Our 5 great ninja villages can exist for so many years, and no one has any background. So, in this battle, we will be able to defeat Uchiha Ryu and win this time as long as our 5 major ninja villages work together. For the sake of Shinobu Village, for us, and for Konoha as well, this battle must be done with all our strength. The old voices rolled and dispersed. The Konoha ninja present changed his expression and became more excited. Vibrate. The arms shouted in unison. The 3 generations of Hokage-sama are right, our 5 major ninja villages are not. A person can fight against it. We Konoha have the inheritance of the will of fire, and the heritage must not be underestimated. Led by the 2 Hokage adults, our Konoha ninja village Hizai fight. Rolling words come together. The ninjas who came from all directions, although they did not know why, were also infected by this emotion. For a time, the huge Konoha ninja village, the sound of shouting and shouting, gathered in the sky and couldn't disperse. On the Hokage rock, a figure stood quietly on it. That black and white yin-yang face showed a hint of drama on his face. Looking at the dusty old scroll in his hand, he couldn't help laughing playfully. Uchiha Ryu, you are indeed very powerful. Since I am not your opponent, and it is hopeless for me to resurrect my mother, then there is no need for this world to exist. A trace of grimness on Heiju's face, and he suddenly clenched the scroll in his hand. No matter what. You leave more, as long as you haven't reached that level, those enemies are simply not something you can deal with. I really want to see your desperate look, will you cry at that time? The voice of Chang's words dissipated with the night wind. Heiju's body, like a solution, was incorporated into the Hokage rock and disappeared immediately. However, just as he left, a figure appeared on the Hokage rock like a ghost. A pair of penetrating blood-colored eyes gave people a feeling of inexplicable attention in the dark. What I said to the boss is not wrong, that guy really has other ideas, but the boss told me not to startle the snake, or I would just turn its head off. Obito muttered. When Long Yu left the Uchiha station, he also put some eye drops on Uchiha Obito. After all, Heiju is the strongest mouth cannon in the Naruto world. In case, when he is not there, give Obito a meal, mouth gun, blackened and violent again. For Long Yu, this was a fire in the backyard. However, to make a man hopeless, he must be filled with hope. Only under this huge gap can the fighting spirit of this will body be annihilated. It can also root out this crisis. It was as if he had obviously upgraded to a big one behind the scenes, and finally had a spiritual awakening and went straight to become the head of the orphanage. This gap, but even Uchiha Longyu's titanium alloy dog eyes are also bright. Forget it, when he does it like this, I'm also looking forward to the war the boss talks about. Uchiha Obito pouted and said, hopefully, the 5 great ninja villages really don't disappoint people, at least there should be means to make people shine. By the way, the boss seems to be going to collect something, and I don't know if I will leave now. Other hand, not far from Konoha Ninja Village, in front of a huge temple. In front of the glaring Vajra Buddha statue, a figure appeared here like a ghost. Who? The roar suddenly sounded. 2 monks from the temple flashed out of the darkness quickly, their hands flying over the knots. The art of fire escape impatience. Wind escape gale palm. The moment when the 2 kinds of ninjutsu are superimposed together, they are shouting in unison. Let the power of the hurricane and the flames fly directly. Looking at the flames in the sky, it directly shrouded the uninvited guests in front of him.